You guys are filming, we're running, aren't we? I knew it. I was like, all right. I just looked, I'm like, wait, they're sitting down. And
look at these two. These two are perfect. Even if you think you haven't had a break, you're.
I know, right?
You know what I mean?
This guy's a mess.
Both of you.
We have some of the. I'm lucky enough to have two of the best in the Canadian biz working on the show for me. Very blessed.
Yeah.
And I'm very blessed to have our lucky guest today. Listening, if you're just listening, you're gonna have a treat. One of the best rhythmic speakers in Canadian comedy that I've ever been able to watch. Just the way that she builds up to her points and everything as a comic was one of my favorites. It's one of the first voices that I heard that were close to the voices that I grew up with in comedy, and that was unbelievable to hear somebody who clearly came from immigrant backgrounds who was letting it seep into their comedy. And now she's become, in a sense, somebody who has become not just a comic but a leader, and she's our motherfucking guest today, Sandra Battaglini. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh my God, thank you, Mike Rita, for having me.
Listen, man, I'm sorry about that long-winded intro.
It wasn't. It was great. I was so into it.
Okay, good. Because I get all fucked up on these intros, man. But okay, so
good.
I'm gonna tell them what you do and why you're helping out Canadian comics, and I want you to tell them how you got started and what your inspiration was and what you do. Okay, so Sandra has taken the reins in a sense and become our leader and our voice for the higher ups in government to recognize stand-up comedy as an art form. She's created with a group of other performers and entertainers in Canadian comedy a union of sorts. I don't know. I'm gonna let you lay it out exactly. I'm gonna give my little quick summary. But yeah, you've created a union. You've created somebody to represent and a voice, some sort of unification for us. As comics are probably the weirdest people. We have conservatives, we have liberals, we have communists, we have libertarians, and all of them want their voices heard. All the shitty comics want their voices heard, and all the really good ones won't even call you back. But Sandra, I don't know, man. Before you came on the show today, I was literally like, I don't know how the fuck Sandra does it. I can't even get to these people's emails, let alone represent them in government. And you've made it to the top. I saw your clips where they were talking about it in I don't know if it was Queen's Park or somewhere. They were having like a discussion about how
House of Commons.
Sorry,
no. What was
they were talking about how it's a disgrace that it's not recognized as an art form, and that they wanted to do something about it, and that you got it all the way up there, and we were all proud. And I want you to tell the people, how did you even get started in wanting to do this?
Oh my God. I mean, I don't know if I wanted to start doing it. It just sort of happened.
That's the great thing. Like, nobody wants to be the head of a comic union.
I mean, who would want to go through all this? But
and you get shit for it
all the time,
buddy.
All the time.
It's crazy.
It is.
It's fucking crazy because I'm over here like, she's not gaining anything, you idiots. This is just because she wants to do it. They're like, oh my God, Sandra Battaglini is fucking Bill Gates. She's working for the Illuminati. She does not have her interest. She's making millions with Adam Grow. They are stacking. No, they're
the crazy ones.
You see what I'm saying in the comment section? They get fucking wild. And you're like, what are you talking about? Have you ever met Sandra Battaglini in real life? This is a normal person, not fucking Bill Gates. They think that you have the comics interest not in your best, like, you know, and that's just for sure not the truth. Just as a person, as me knowing you've helped me out in comedy a lot. So you've come to my shows. You and Phil, who's your homie G, have helped me out a lot too. And you didn't choose this job, like you were saying. So how?
Well, it was just sort of, it was just grievances that I experienced and I've been hearing from comedians ever since I started doing comedy. Basically, like how, we're not recognized as an art form. Oh my God. Do I get to Lighteroni?
Okay. We're gonna smoke our
I'm literally because I had a long CASC meeting.
Yeah, did you actually today? You had a long CASC meeting. Fuck.
Yeah, it was really long. Anyways.
Was Adam Grow there?
No, he stepped down.
Did he?
Yeah. In the middle of the pandemic.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Adam, too much cash cap.
I mean, he's still involved. He just stepped down off the board, and right? I mean,
it's what it is.
Makes sense.
Yes, of course, man. It's not an easy job to hold, especially one that's so thankless. Everyone always talking shit. People don't talk. It's not everybody.
No, most people are grateful.
I was gonna say it's like 95% grateful, 5% loudmouth idiots who think they know better, who would never do anything for anybody, but then judge you for trying to help out anybody.
And I think that it just sort of magnifies what's even happening on the planet right now, where people believe that let's say people in government or other leaders are so somehow not human, you know?
Yeah.
And that they're, you know, certainly some people are taking advantage. There's no question about it.
Always.
But like my experience, you know, with doing this advocacy work is that people in government are people like you and me. They want change. They got involved. Like not everybody got involved because, oh, I want to be a politician. It was sort of, some people got involved, you know, through issues. And yeah, so basically with, you know, the Canadian Association of Standup Comedians, it came about because I wrote this letter. It was almost like I had to write down what was going on in the community. I was like, I can't not say anything anymore. It was basically, you know, we don't get recognized as an art form. We're not allowed to apply for grants, and the very difficult time we have going into the United States. Those were the two issues that were the biggest ones, because we, you know, in the last 5-10 years, we saw a really major exodus of comedians leave the country because the industry in Canada had all but almost disappeared. And that was the, you know, that was the result of a lot of things that had a lot to do with 8 years of Stephen Harper. But most significantly, it had everything to do with Silicon Valley and the movement of social media into the Canadian landscape. And their entrance was not, there were no rules set in place. The CRTC didn't put any rules around it. So American media has always dominated Canada, but in the last 10 years, it was probably the most significant. And so everyone was like, I gotta leave. And you didn't, and it was like, and I just kept thinking, there's something not right here. Why are people leaving like this? What's going on in our country? Something stinks, you know? Then when I looked into it, so I did all this research to write a letter to the Prime Minister just to say, hey buddy, we're over here, because it sort of, a couple of things sparked why I wrote the letter. I had a web series that the CBC had greenlit, and then they ungreenlit it, and it was so devastating.
And you're like, you son of a bitch.
Because I was like, oh my God, something's getting made. And then, so it was that, and then...
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and what was the other thing too? Oh yeah, I couldn't get any of the clubs to headline me. Yeah, Brax wouldn't do it, Absolute wouldn't do it.
And I want you to know, how long have you been doing stand-up by this point?
Well, that's like 5 years ago. So it's like at least, 10, 12 years. 12 years.
That's unfucking believable.
Yeah.
And I want you to know, I know Sandra as a headliner, as one of the top headliners in the underground world at the time. You were headlining everybody's independent shows. You were headlining any kind of, like weed-driven shows. I remember you were a big headliner at the underground. You were doing like some of the big female comedy shows in the city, but you could not get onto the club scene.
Well, I did. Yeah, I couldn't. They wouldn't have.
Not even Absolute.
No, they wouldn't do it. So it's like
because we all know Yucks is a tight industry.
Well, you know, Yucks likes to play games with you. So then I was just like, I just want to headline Absolute, and it didn't happen. And I was like, okay. And then I did a lot of research. So when I started writing this letter, I was like, I started doing a lot of research. And one of the other things that sparked this letter was during the last election, not this last election, the one before. And, you know, I really noticed when I would go do shows, I was like, I see Canadian comedians were basically canvassing, you know, because of all the material. They're like, go vote. And, you know, criticizing the Harper government. Basically, I'm not saying they were saying go vote Liberal. It wasn't that. But I wanted to just tell the Prime Minister that this is probably the most grassroots canvassing that you could hope for.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and then, you know, also saying like, look, comedy is one of this country's greatest legacies. We don't talk about it, and why don't we get funding? So it was like, I just did a lot of research. That's my background. Before I became a comedian, I have a master's in history, so I have this.
So you love to learn and compile
and research, and so you know what I mean. I just will go deep. I will just go look where people will stop, and I'll just look. It's like, a disease.
No, but it's good because that's why you became the head of shit. And what did you find when you started looking into
Oh my God!
So why do American comics come to Canada for like $50 and we can't go there for anything?
So basically, it's you know, immigration policies are set by a government.
Yeah.
Canada's is open. It's beautiful. That's what we would all hope for.
Yeah,
so Canada has an open immigration policy. The United States doesn't. And after 9/11, it became increasingly difficult. Because people will say, look at all these famous people, these Canadians that went to the US, Mike Myers, Jim Carrey, but they didn't really have that much difficulty to go to the US. I hear from people like, oh, in the 60s, you could just go down a plane and go to LA.
And now you're working there.
Well, this is it. So it's like American comedians, there's literally a section in the Immigration Act that talks about who can come into the country without a work permit. And I looked at all this shit because I was like, wait a minute, I gotta find where are all these rules? You know what I mean? And so it basically, like literally read it as a joke. It was like rodeo performers and
shit like
clowns can come to work for a weekend without a work permit.
Wow.
From
America to Canada.
Yeah.
But not Canada to America. There is
No. You have to get that O1 visa.
Yeah.
You have to get an O1 visa.
And you and I both know comics who have gone through great lengths.
$10,000, $15,000, $20,000.
That's right.
To me, it's like, this is when it all started to stink. Because I was like, we have a free trade agreement with these people, and they're putting a head tax on us. Like,
man,
this is not a
$20,000 is like, yeah.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Now, this is America's policy for the world. America has in multiple aspects of their foreign policy, but immigration has become very problematic, especially in the last 10 years. So I was like, these people come here in our space, they can perform freely. And of course, we want foreign performers. In fact, there are many people in the United States, senators, very, very high profile people who want an open borders for artists, especially. It's in the country's self-interest
of course, to allow the artists to move freely and entertain the people.
And bring people from other parts of the world to the country. There are people in the United States who tirelessly work on behalf of foreign artists. Sometimes then of course you start to, what's the word? You start to contextualize everything. And then when you look at the people who have the hardest time to move anywhere around the world are Black people.
Wow.
From Africa. Do you know, this is what was starting to happen, and it's been happening. People get booked in the UK and the United States, troops of people. And then they're stopped at the border and then returned. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it's Black people from Africa that's where it's the most difficult in different parts of the world. But that's what it is. And then because I was like, oh, look at me being mad, I can't go into the States. But when you step back and you look, oh, okay, you make it more difficult for people from Africa to come to your country. So then it's like, then you're looking at that big context. But the difference is that, look, Canada and the United States have a free trade agreement. We're neighbors. What they're doing ain't neighborly.
No, it's shitty.
So that was the whole thing. I wrote the letter, and Barack Obama was still in power. And I just said to the Prime Minister, hey, if you're talking with Barack Obama, tell him we want reciprocity.
Yeah, of course.
And then fucking Trump comes in.
Jesus.
And it was literal insanity. When the first trip I took to Ottawa. So anyways, I wrote a letter. It went viral-ish. People were like, oh my God, shared it. And then I didn't intend for all this. You think 4 years ago I was like, one day I dream of representing and lobbying for comedians. No,
Amen.
You know what I mean? But it's been so amazing in so many ways. Very challenging for sure. But so I wrote a letter, and then people were like, you should form an association because if you want to lobby, you need to have. It can't just be Sandra lobbying. It needs to be an association. So then an association was formed, and that's going to be 3 years that it was formed in February. So now I've been working on this for about 4 years.
Man, you're in your 4th year already?
Yeah. The association will be 3 years old in February.
What's your main issue right now so that you're most focused on?
Passionately or disgruntlingly?
Give me both. Passionately, no, give me passionately because it'll be the sweet answer.
There's an irony though in the passion because we were supposed, so CASC had been invited to attend the International Creative Industries Trade Mission in Europe.
Pretty cool.
I was gonna go in June. Do you know?
Oh wow, June.
This is like a big.
Where is it in Europe?
Berlin.
Wow.
Amsterdam and Stockholm.
No.
Bro, we were there. Pandemic comes out. Trip is postponed. And I was like, no. And then I was gonna stay in Italy. I was gonna go and then just go in Italy.
Of course, you're there. Hey. When in Stockholm, forget about going home, right?
That's why I haven't gone to Europe in 10 years, because if I go, I can't just go.
No, you gotta go to Italy. You have have to rent a car, just go for a boot.
So we were going to go there, and the whole thing came about. The reason we got we applied for this to attend was that trade missions are usually like companies go, but then there's also like they invite associations and obviously creative industries people. So my passionate interest is the export strategy.
Cool.
Which is getting comedians outside of the country.
And to other places in the world.
Around the world.
Fuck America, you don't want us? Fuck you.
That's
We're going to Zurich.
Bro, that's what I say in the meetings at Heritage.
Yeah,
I'm like, listen, we really believe, because the mission of the Heritage department over the last several years changed. It went from sort of like very, nationalistic to it became like they developed an export strategy to try and find new ways to export Canadian culture and identity.
Amazing.
So we say, our pitch is, we believe our interests are so aligned because we believe there's no greater way or cheaper way to export Canadian culture and identity than through stand-up comedy.
Wow.
What's cheaper than bringing a bunch of people on a plane, the microphone's fucking there, you know what I mean?
Get a spotlight, get some seats.
And the point is that I don't think there's a greater expression of Canadian culture and identity than through a Canadian stand-up. And I don't mean that like musicians or novelists, but I mean like a real time.
Okay.
A real time.
It's not the same. A novelist isn't the same. You're gonna read a fucking chapter. That's come on. Okay, it's great.
But I'm saying if the tellers of the culture,
of course, are storytellers,
but they're doing it because they can do it in real time. Something's happened today, somebody goes do a joke at night. This is amazing.
This is huge.
It's fucking huge. They loved it, bro. Every time I would say that, and I've pitched that story several times, they'd always be like, oh.
Yeah.
And so what's funny? Before our trip in February, we get a letter saying we didn't get accepted. I was devastated. I'm like, come on, I can't do. Oh, come on, I just want to do this. So then we go to Ottawa, we sit at the meeting of the people we applied to. We're like, our lobbyists are like, we just want to know, like, what didn't we, what can we work on?
Yeah.
And they're like, we just want you to know, though, that, normally companies come on trade missions. So, like, we just want you to know that, there's some meetings, like, we can't set up all your meetings. Like, like if you want, because they, in the application, had asked, who do you want to meet with? And then I was like, I don't know. So then I hooked up with Pavone, who had performed in Germany. He hooks me up with this producer who does all the English tours. It is amazing.
So that's what you put down on the thing.
Put him, and then I just talked to a bunch of people like Rotterdam Comedy Festival, all these things.
Perfect.
And then, so they're like, we just want you to know, we can't get you in the meeting at Rotterdam Comedy Festival. I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm going to get that meeting.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, we'll get that.
We'll do it. We'll make these calls. We'll be able to
I already have people to meet with. Like,
you don't need to do it. They don't know how comedy works. That's how comedy works. They're amazing networkers, especially through like a quick email. Hey, you want to meet up for coffee? You want to do that? Yeah, okay. I know. They don't know that because they're corporate. It's not the same.
But if it's like if we want to meet with the Department of Culture of Germany,
of course,
then they'll set up that meeting, and they're like, we just want you to know that. So okay. And then I can't remember what other things they said. It was like, so are we going then? They're like, yes.
No.
And then we were like, hey, right? So to me, one of the things I say in the meeting was just like, let's forget about the United States. Because I believe the minute that Canadian comedians start to travel around the world in a branded mission, and I don't mean like the government of Canada is sending comedians out. The government, maybe it should. That would be a funny.
Dude, all of us just going to a country.
Maybe we do. That would be a funny. Like it's a trade. It's a mission.
It's a trade
peace mission.
It's a peace mission, man. Oh man.
I'm telling these. Can I use this?
That was yours now.
So, sorry.
No, don't be so fucking around. Just be like that. We'll keep the thing like.
So, anyways, everyone's excited about it, and it's like that's what I see. Like the minute Canadian comedians do that, then all of a sudden it'll change everything, because now they'll have gigs that like it's all about opening the opportunities, and then all of a sudden people are like, hey, where's Mike? Why is Mike in Sweden? And they're like, yeah, man, Mike's doing some shows in a theater. So that when somebody and
you keep the torch going. That's a secret in comedy, is that you pass the torch. If I go to Sweden, my job, kill it, make sure that the show is great, so that when the next comic, when Sandra comes up with her crew, you do the same. You kill it. You keep the torch going.
But imagine that, and then on top of that, there's an incredibly strong network of people who are supporting you along the way. Bookers, managers, agents, the country, the fucking culture ministers. Motherfuckers got to help out. They want to help out.
So why don't we have that?
Well, because nobody asked.
Yeah, and now you're asking, and they're like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. You're like, I know.
And then the pandemic struck, and it's like, what?
What the fuck? So it was supposed to be in June. Where were you supposed to go first in that?
Berlin.
Oh wow, fuck, shit.
I know. So anyways, that's the passion. But the irony is that, we can't.
So what's the fucking part of the job that you don't like?
Well, right, so since the pandemic broke, right, it was like at first we were just trying to, like with our lobbyists, just trying to make sure that, the Department of Heritage and people in government knew that, our industry was obviously devastated. So we had to they were like, do you have any numbers? And so we had to put together a very cursory economic impact.
Wow.
And cursory, I mean like, to actually have one for real, because when you look at all the industries who would report during the pandemic about what was lost and what was going, they had statistics to prove.
Yeah, of course.
They had numbers because they had data, they had done studies. So CASC has never done that. This is something that we've known for a while. It's something to do, but it costs $100,000, man.
Of course.
But then what's also amazing is that right now we're doing a study in Ontario. It's through a grant. There's a company called Nordicity. They applied for a grant to do a study. We get grants for studies, but it's funny. We got a grant. We did it. Like, we're doing it with them, but
if the grant is for the study, I get what you're saying.
So it's the first study ever of comedy, and it focuses on Ontario, but it'll be able to start to build a picture of around the world, because when we meet with the Department of Finance, they're like, what are the numbers? And we're like,
what the fuck do you want from us?
Exactly. So that's exactly. And every time you're like writing down, okay, like, so that's the build, right?
That's the door.
So, anyways, but the begrudging was just like talking to the minute, doing those kinds of things.
Man,
that's where we got in shit with a few people, where like they made up some shit about what we were doing.
Man,
like somebody thought that we were we were presenting their information to Revenue Canada, and I'm like, are you what? Yeah.
Hey, I deleted that person on Facebook because I couldn't handle that kind of.
That really bothered. Like, I had a really hard time with all that.
Hey, that level of stupidity and blasphemy.
I know.
And you're like, what are you talking about? What are you fucking talking about?
You know what she called me?
No.
She called me a no good, do nothing, broke Goomba.
No, she didn't.
She did.
She wrote the Goomba to you?
You mentioned a Goomba?
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what I mean? This is slanderous and racist.
I deleted her because I could not deal. I love you as a person. I always loved your stand-up. I respect you, Sandra.
I respect you.
I knew that she was writing this shit about you. I deleted her right away. I was like, I don't want Sandra to look and see my fucking name as a mutual friend, because I'm not a fucking mutual friend. This ain't mutual. This ain't shit. Get the fuck out of here. So straight up, I know that you're out here fucking taking slack from these fucking open micers who couldn't follow you if their life depended on it, and they're over here being like, Sandra Battaglini is putting 5G chips in your fucking kids. She wants to vaccinate your pets.
Oh my god,
the bitch is crazy.
So crazy.
It's loopy.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you think they're doing? Have you ever met these people? These aren't fucking evil people who are trying to. What are they trying to take from you?
I know.
You're not. Literally, I could not. What are you taking from me? It's because all I'm reading is that it seems like you're trying to get us shit. You're trying to get us on an even playing field with some of our neighbors here, and people are finding wild shit.
And they don't recognize that that's the way it's done. The biggest lobbies in the country. Why do you think teachers make so much money?
But
a strong lobby.
Yeah, of course, over there talking shit all the time. All the time. Hey, what's up, Lude? Hey, what about the teachers? What about our unions? What about all kinds of...
Do you know that Amazon was in Ottawa, I don't know, in a really short period, 27 times?
Why?
Why do you think? Well, Amazon, so they can have a business here.
Man, that's why.
And circumvent a lot of laws and rules.
27 times in 1 year?
Like, in a shorter period than that.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Man, see, that's like, imagine having like a rich funder, and then you could just lobby the shit out of the government constantly. Hey, what about stand-up comics? Don't forget about us.
Yeah, that's the.
But how do you chirp in their ear constantly? You just gotta fucking.
Us? How do we do it? Write letters. We set up meetings. Like, we hired lobbyists from the beginning. We did, because they reached out to us, and then it was like, oh yeah, these people actually get things going. Like, they were the ones that, when we first launched 3 years ago, and they, heard me on the CBC, they're like, well, the NAFTA is being renegotiated, so
let's get you a little.
And labor mobility is a top issue for the Canadians. And then I, gathered the
And I love that term, labor mobility. That's exactly the most political shit I ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
We just want to go there and tell jokes. No, it's labor mobility. You're going over there to work. You're laboring.
Don't let anybody fucking put other words on what this is.
I love that you're Italian because I like to picture you the head of a union, but not as you professionally, but as a more Italian, like, you're gonna let the people laugh this year, and you're gonna let them laugh for free. And like just American woman being like, all right, Mrs. Battaglini, we don't want any problems here on our side of the border. We want you and your Canadian comics to come over here. Dude, that is so funny.
Can we do a scene like that?
Dude, how funny would
Let's
that
film
be?
that. That'd be hilarious.
Come
You
on,
just at the border.
It's just you at the border, and what are you doing
And
here?
you-
I'm coming here to represent Canadian comedy. What? What are you talking about? I run the union here. Yeah,
We already started to talk into some. We know that eventually we'll be going to Congress.
Cool. And have it to
I'm
yourself.
not saying it's me.
Who's gonna do it? You guys got a speaker? You guys got a person who's got
I mean,
it?
eventually. Do you know this shit takes money? That's the thing.
What a disgusting.
It's a disgusting world.
Yeah, I was like, that's
But
disgusting.
it's like
But people love comedy, and people have a hard time paying for comedy on a ground level. Okay, like an open mic, people don't want to pay $5 for
Yeah.
it. People don't even want to give them $5. And minimum wage is $14. You should be able to give up 1 hour of your life of work for an hour of entertainment.
and listen, you know, when you think about like in our country, like music,
Yeah.
because like you know, you were one of the. Can I talk to you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're here.
One of
Yeah,
our
yeah.
producers off
I mean,
camera
you know,
is like a legendary dude in the scene. Yeah.
Morgan was one of the first people when I started doing this to say, you know, really look into music. And you gave me a background. I was like, yeah, that's so interesting. And then I wanted to know more, and I found out more. And, you know, and then so just recently we had a meeting with SoCan.
Wow,
You know
huge.
SoCan?
Yeah, classic.
They came to us.
No, yeah.
Oh my God, they're like, hey, we want to find out about you. We're like, all right, yeah, we'll have a meeting. Nicest people. We had like a debrief session with him and another guy from Toronto, a guy from LA. They wanted to know what Canadian comedy was like.
Wow.
And you know what they said?
What?
That comedy is like music was in the 60s. We are 60 years behind.
That's what they're saying right now?
Yeah, because they
About
started.
Canadian comedy in our industry.
Yeah, because the reason why music has most money in our country when it comes to arts, they got the most, and that's why the most. And I don't mean like, or they're taking somebody else's piece of the pie.
No, they're
They
pie.
fucking worked it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that there are people that say that the system is flawed too, and blah blah blah. But you know, for CASC, we've modeled ourselves after music. So it's like when you look at music, like you can't even play somebody's fucking music in a restaurant. Like I met people who
That's
do
wild.
that lobby, you know, who work that thing. You know, work that like go in and talk to like different venues and you know ensure that musicians are paid. So like you know the thing about when people chirp and don't understand, it's because they don't know the larger context. We're not asking for anything that's not rightfully ours.
Correct.
Do you know that?
That's the one thing that I've never understood. You're fighting for the comics. You're fighting for our rights. To just be level with musicians. We just even would be nice to be level with musicians.
Well, our biggest allies have been people in the music industry.
Thank God.
Oh yeah, they've been the best. They set us up. I mean, one guy set us up.
Like
He
with
everything.
nice.
You know, and I don't mean like he went out and like made like he wasn't working for us.
Just
but
sent you a nice list of some shit.
Well, and then he connected us and did all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, if you think about it, like you know, before Christmas, I had come to this realization that, you know, that the only issue that was important, the only thing that we should be concerned about is the earth.
Nice.
Like our relationship to the earth.
Truly.
I just read Naomi Klein's book, like On Fire.
What is it?
It's a book. Like, do you know Naomi Klein?
No.
She's like this famous Canadian, like, you know, journalist. Like,
What does she write about?
I mean, she writes about politics.
Okay.
But she talks about like, you know, she very much talks about the United States is pretty much always. I mean, she lives there, but she's Canadian.
Okay.
Okay, and she's fucking the best. Anyways, her book it's called On Fire: The Burning Case for a Green New Deal. I don't know if you heard about the Green New Deal.
No, tell me about it.
So the progressives in the Democratic Party in the United States,
Okay.
Alessandro Ocasio-Cortez, that group of people, penned this Green New Deal.
Okay.
And it's modeled on Roosevelt's New Deal that everybody always talks about. I'd always heard about it. I'm like, what is this? It was this system, this thing that in the 30s, was it 30s?
30s
about
and 40s,
it was, and parts of the United States had been environmentally destroyed.
Yeah, he was the dude who wanted to sign on all the parks and all that shit to not destroy all the national parks and all that kind of stuff.
So that was the infrastructure that America was built on that deteriorated till now.
Well, heavy.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
They did that. So anyways, the Green New Deal is based, it's not that just the Americans invented the Green New Deal. It's like they penned this Green New Deal that, everybody's working on it. But it basically it's going from what I call a corporate fascism to a shared economy.
Okay.
Where, everyone shares in, the capital.
That'd be great.
Because the other way is thievery.
Well, it's what we're living in now, and it's thievery.
Yes.
And we're all struggling. Now we're all struggling. We all know that there's so much more better, and that it's just greed. It's just greed that's stopping it. This big wall of greed.
And why did we keep following these people?
Because we're being brainwashed. Not us. Not you and I. Not me. Not even anybody in this room. But there's a mass amount of people, and God bless them. A lot of them are just undereducated folk who have been droned in to work, who could never even believe what you're saying is correct. You're telling me that a poor person wants to take money from you? Are the poor person, you fucking idiot?
Yeah.
They're robbing it from you. I don't want your money. You want that billionaire's money. You make his product. He makes billions on your ass. You should make at least hundreds minimum. But everything else will cost more. No, it won't. That's
because the rich people keep inflating the cost.
That's correct. They keep inflating it. So what you need is politicians to stop them from invading. Well, then they'll find a way to. You can stop it if you just think ahead.
Yeah.
They won't let you do it though. They stop you with. This is where conquer and divide comes in. How can you and I and the masses focus on something of that level when we're too busy worrying about whether or not police are killing black people, whether or not Hicks are respecting women, whether they divide us. We fight every day with our brothers and sisters instead of us focusing that these motherfucking rich fucks are stealing it from us. Okay? How can we focus on these rich guys? We can't. Some people don't even know their names. People don't even know what a Rothschild is. Like, what the hell? And you're like, don't you understand that these fuckers created a system so that we could never excel? And the only way you're going to excel is by ripping off other hardworking people. That's the only way the system works. You want to become a billionaire? You profit off other people's misery and hard work. And it's a bullshit system. But
also know that the last time in the 60s and the 70s, when all there was same unrest, right? Same unrest. There's protests, Detroit, Newark, all these places.
And then they label these people hippies and rioters. And see, back in the day, it would be hippies. These hippies want your fucking.
But that's what they made it seem like.
Of course, they label you something.
I'm reading this book right now called The American Deep State.
Well,
you know about this?
I've only read about the book. I have not read the book. So tell me more about.
You know about this? You know about the deep state, right?
What are we talking about here? Like the original system that they planted? Okay, go.
Anyways, it's this, so the guy who's this specialist is Peter Dale Scott. He's Canadian, but he's been a professor at Berkeley. He's really old now, but
love that shit.
He's amazing. So he's a specialist in this. Basically, he says that there is, two kinds of government in the United States, and most democracies have what he calls a deep state.
Okay.
But America, their deep state, he's talking about theirs. And then after World War II, this deep state emerged. So there's the public-facing government that people know, like politicians and stuff, and then there's the shadow government of who really runs everything.
Amazing, of course.
And he says that those people were responsible for what he calls deep events, like the JFK assassination.
I was gonna say, like everything.
9/11. I'm reading about it now. I can't believe it. I can't believe. I'm like, they made it happen. Within the government, but in the shadow government.
Yo, man, these people thrive on negative, okay? And this shit is like, when you really get deep into it, this shit has been happening since some of the original societies. Like, we're going back to like these people.
But we've been at high levels too. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
So
that's how we balance.
Yeah.
Give me, because you're right now. I want you to keep going.
No. I mean, I don't know what we were saying about like.
We're talking about the deep state and how
the deep state
and how they were thriving from negativity and how they control what's going on in America. How we've also been on the other side of that, but how what you were talking about, how they control these big events.
Yeah, so you know, like there was a time where labor and capital really got along in the United States. Powerful unions, people are making good money.
Sure, these steel towns and shit.
It was massive.
Yeah.
America, it was made everything. I mean, we do too, but I'm just saying, like, it was really, and it was built on quality.
So
you know, a lot of it was quality, a lot of it was, and then it was quality, but then it was fucking poisonous. People were like, why don't we manufacture plastic and put sugar on it so your kids can eat this shit?
Yeah, weird.
And then that's what
shit.
Is that what you went to fucking the Middle East for?
Yeah.
To burn people so that we could eat fucking petroleum?
Wow.
You stupid fuck.
What? Okay.
And these people. No, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, do you think that kind of stuff is ever going to change in America? Like that's like what you're talking about is deeply ingrained in American society and in culture. That they're okay with all this crazy fucking shit because you're right. America was once a leader in the world, and now they're not. And
I mean, you never can glorify. You're like, when they. Americans have this fixation to say that they're the best country in the world, the greatest country in the world, and they still say it. And I'm like, I don't know what you guys are looking at. But what we're seeing is that, like, this is why they did what they did. Do you know the black snake prophecy?
No, tell me this.
Oh my God.
What's the black snake prophecy?
Morgan, have I told you this?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, you know even more about it. I was like,
No, I know. I mean, because I talked to him a lot. So the black snake prophecy is, so the indigenous elders predicted all of this.
Okay.
They said that a black snake would weave through North America, and it would poison. And it was the pipelines, but they didn't know at the time.
Of course, what they're describing is what they see as a black snake.
And then it would poison all the land and the people in the water around it. And that either you would follow that black snake, or take the red road back to Mother Earth.
Weird. And
I say further that America took that black snake and they weaved it around the planet, with Hollywood at the helm being like, hey everybody, look at America, we're great, we're having fun,
right.
We're fighting wars. And it's like, yeah, fighting the wars you fucking started.
Yeah.
Nobody came on your door, you're like, hey, are you ready for a fight, big guy? Are you ready for a fight?
You're looking at my girl. No, you're standing there alone. Well, what are you talking about? Yeah, America's like a drunk neighbor who will punch you out.
Yeah. And then they're like, sorry, and then they're like, no, I'm gonna fuck you some more. It's like...
And the kids and the wife are real sweet. But the husband's just this asshole guy who yells and kicks the dog. And she's like, stop kicking the dog, shut the fuck up. Oh, man.
And two of the most evil people that have ever sat in that motherfucking government is Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld.
Classic, dude.
They set the fucking stage for the misery that we are living right now. They made sure that all the money would go to the top, because the 60s and 70s, the rich people this Peter Dale Scott talks about it. Great people came together, rich people, because they saw that their wealth was being threatened.
Yeah,
because they saw these movements of people the left was building. They fucking worked to make sure they quashed it all by, like, enslaving us to all the stuff we had to pay them for.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Can you give me an example of what you mean by that? How did they push the message that the left was wrong, that the wealth shouldn't be split? Because that's a message that it seems obvious.
Well, they just could. How did the 1% change the message?
Yeah. How do you? I always find it strange that, like, poor people are usually some of the most vocal about, like, rich people keeping their money. Have you ever seen, like, do you know what I mean by that? People that are struggling and be like, I don't want the government taxing me. They're not taxing you higher. They're taxing the rich people higher. 70% of like, that's not what they're saying. They're talking about, like, 70% after you make, like, 10 million in profit because you don't need any more. Yeah, what if I make 10 million in profit? Like, what would you want them to do if we could tax the rich? Where does money go? Where would you want it to go?
It would go equally. It would go into the Green New Deal shared economy.
Okay.
So it's this. So the Green New Deal is, like, basically, converting the entire energy into like geothermal and sun.
Of course.
And it's what's known as the third industrial revolution.
It's coming
Like,
no matter what we want.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so that's where we're going. So it's like converting it to that, and then having an economy. It's not like there's not capital.
Yeah.
But that it'll have all of the policies in place to ensure that there's equality amongst everyone, not based on your skin color or your status. That like what you're contributing is part of the larger good. You know what I mean?
I'm about it.
And then you would, so for example, you'd be a comedian, but then part of your time would be to go like check in on the elderly, or rejuvenate the city, the Toronto. We need lots of trees.
Let me go plant some seeds.
And they pay you.
Man,
that's the green economy.
See, but there's nothing wrong with that.
That's the gift of God.
You know what? I'm going to tell you what people are going to do. They're going to we're going to try to teach that to a new generation of people. They're going to call it an indoctrination, that you're making the people soft, and that's not, you got to teach you guns. People don't want that.
I don't think that energy anymore. It's like it's part of that Piscean era. It's disappearing.
Fuck, I know Pisces. That sucks that you said that. I feel bad. I know, but I know what you're talking about. We're leaving that and we're entering the age of, what is it, Aquarius or some shit?
Aquarius.
I know. I was reading about that the other day, and I was so sad because I'm a Pisces. I'm like, fuck, shit, Pisces, we not fucking suck. But Aquarius,
no.
I know, but Aquarius is stepping up. I know. We're supposed to wait in this ascension, this awakening. See, I feel it coming. You and I feel it. Maybe other people in this room
feel it. You embody it. You're always living.
I'm always that positive. I know.
You're always living on the energy.
Trust. I try to give it out as much as I can, because I get lots of it. Okay, I wake up in the morning and the universe is sending me beams, and all my job, send it right back up. Because I got nothing to do with this shit. I gotta make you laugh. I gotta give you a hug, that kind of thing. But I'll tell you straight up. I'm about that. I'm about the ascension. I'm about the connection to nature. I'm about fucking the growth. I'm about letting grass overgrow naturally and becoming one with you. I'm about that. How are we gonna allow people? Look, man, not everybody is. I hate to use this term because it's been fucking cliche, but they're not awake to those ideas. They are not.
So they will not survive.
They're just gonna be left behind.
Well, this is what they say about the Aquarian age, is that in order to so Piscean era was about like secrets and lies and like and the Aquarian age is all about openness and truth,
honesty,
and that the only way to survive what's happening on the planet is by being in community. So guess what? Didn't this pandemic put us in community?
Beyond community.
Because you know what I was saying? I was like, you know what this is? I was like, it's like we made the earth sick with our garbage, and now we're sick.
Thank God.
And then it's like the mom who's been telling the kid to clean up, and they're like, yeah, mom, I'll do it.
Your room stinks. Yeah. There's flies in your fucking room.
And then she's had it. So one day she's like, I'm done. I'm going for a nap, and you're grounded. Yeah. Unless you want to come with me. And that's what I think. That's what's happened. It's like she was just like, because I feel, I've been obsessed about the environment, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do this in 10 years, knowing all these evil people? And then look at that. Mama Earth just fucking reminded us.
It's crazy how quick she could change back and be like, oh, you want me to clean the oceans? Oh, what do you think this is? You think I won't start cleaning these oceans? Man, she'll fuck us up, man. I'm down. I'm down for Mother Nature to make some cool strikes.
You want to hear about this cool strike? This makes me think of this cool strike.
Yeah.
So you were saying, like, what would I want to see? Like, the idea of capital should disappear.
Yeah.
Yes, people accumulate certain things, but, like, this idea that, like, it's like some guy's got to have all the capital and everyone else is like, I got to work and I'm polluted, blah, blah, blah. Like, fuck you. Why? You know what? Everything that we could have been at this, whatever we want to egoically say, technological advancement, we could have been here if we would have, listened to our indigenous people. Because you know what? 40 years ago, the indigenous people have been saying to the fisheries industry, stop fishing salmon because they're infected with lice.
Yeah.
And then the fishery industry says, we've been consulting with the indigenous people, and they're like, no, they haven't.
No, because we've been warning them about this.
So that's when the Canadian government, the Canadian government, and the government got into conflict with the indigenous people. there's I don't know. From what I understand, there was a time where there was like negotiation, and then it broke down when Canada was like, okay, you keep talking about this Mother Earth, I gotta get this building built over here.
I know. Right? I always think about that.
And then they just fucking kept shutting them down and saying, what the fuck are you talking about Mother Earth? What are you talking about the sky? Like they took over through theft and murder.
Lying. They never taught anybody. After they did it, they didn't teach the kids that that's what they did. It's like, when I was a kid, you know what I learned about Indigenous people in Canada? That we worked together. They taught the English and French how to catch animals and pelts, and there was a fair fur trade, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they ran down the mighty St. Lawrence from Quebec to Ontario to trade the furs with the local. It's fucking. And then the first time you'd be like an Indigenous person, I do some acid, and you're like, yeah, man, what was about that fur trade? Like, fur trade? Slavery, you idiot. They were murdering. It's genocide. They're killing us. They're killing our animals. They're overhunting. They're overfishing, polluting our waters. And you're like, oh my God. For real? Is that what it is in Indigenous culture? They're like, yes, man. I never use the word native anymore. You can't even use the word native. It's fucking wild. Because, and the crazy thing is, right now, when you were talking, remember I kind of whispered the word wild to you, is you were talking about how the Indigenous people have to answer to the Canadian government, which is fucking crazy because it's the Indigenous people who are the people of the land. The government should be answering to them. They are the peoples of our fucking land. It's crazy that in our history books that I swear to God, I did not even think of Indigenous people as peoples of our land. I thought of them, and this is embarrassing, but this is the truth, because this is what I thought till I was like 18. Until you become like an adult, you meet real fucking Indigenous people. I thought that they were just people who lived here, and we saved them. We saved them from forests, and they were like people who were like once just like monkey type, like you get what I'm talking about, like literally barbaric, and you're like, what the fuck am I thinking? And then I swear to God, it's a true story, man. We did some acid with this person, and we talked about Indigenous issues, and it was the first time that I had I felt, I kind of cried a little bit. I was like, man, this fuck, I didn't know about that shit. Because you just don't know. You just don't know. You feel so stupid. You're like, well, I thought you guys were trading.
No, how could you know everything?
I thought you were trading first. Like, trading. They were killing our people, scalping our fucking men, raping our women. I'm like, what? You're like, yeah, they would come and take the kids away from the moms. And I'm like, when did this go on to like 1800s to like 1960? And then you're just melting your seat. You're like, what? And then
the RCMP would literally fly into a reserve, and they took the children.
Yeah,
they
ripped them forcefully
out. Can you imagine that shit? And then and everyone's still posturing. The United States and Canada, they need to declare that. Canada needs to declare that what happened to our Indigenous people is genocide. That's the only way we're going to move forward with this shit.
They just admitted that they're going to start, or they finally changed that they've made mistakes in the education system, that they'll be changing it to teach a more real story of the genocide. I think that'll change a generation of kids.
Yeah.
Because I swear to God, I thought
in America, same thing. It's a genocide, what they did to people of African descent.
Oh, awful. And the worst thing is, I come from Portuguese ancestors. When we were kids, we would learn that Portuguese people were big in the slave trade. Like, we were stealing people from Africa.
What about the Italians? Christopher Columbus.
Come on, we build the boats. Spanish, everybody gets it together. All of us team up. Let's go. Italy, Spain, Portugal. Steal some black people. Let's go. We're gonna go look for India. We got to Brazil. It's India. Let's go. It's India.
But what is that other than ego, right? You know what I mean? Like, this is what ego is what drives these things. It's again the black snake. What is Hollywood? Like, everybody's following this black snake. You know what I mean? Hollywood is telling just stories. And it's like, well, why are we all going down there to do what? To go live in a country that we had to pay a tax to get into? When we're supposed to be friends? And then a pandemic hits, and the fucking Ford pops up from everywhere. Because they're like, oh, we don't support anybody because we're paying fucking Jeff Bezos $500 billion.
Yeah.
We're too busy giving that fuck money. Like, fuck you, man. Crazy, man. You got more than that. That's the whole point, is that, like, this is what I said when the pandemic happened. I'm like, if they had all this money, then where the fuck was it before? You know what I mean? Paying us serve. It's like they've made up lies. I believe, and I said this before the pandemic, that if everything just shut down 50%, Like all production 50%, our work week 50%, everything, our bills. You know what I mean? Like half of the shit that's being made on the planet is plastic garbage. Who the fuck? I can't believe it, like.
Hey, I don't buy my daughter Kinder Surprise anymore.
Don't buy any plastic if you can help it.
I can't because we go to the Dollarama sometimes like a fucking piece of shit.
No, don't. You're not a piece of shit.
I
Don't
swear
think
to God.
that way. Because
I do.
It's handy there. I know. I go too sometimes.
I go to the Dollarama. I'll buy my kid. This is for real. I'll buy my kid like a little squirt water gun. It'll break in 2 minutes, and I'll feel like trash. I'll be like, look at me.
You got seduced.
What am I gonna do with this thing now? It's broken. It's plastic. It's gonna go to the garbage. It's gonna fill a landfill for fucking 50 years before it even.
Can you believe that?
No, I think it's gonna be there for hundreds of years.
Because you know what kind of economy we live in, like this. And there's another thing that I hate when they talk about the economy is suffering. Oh, the economy's doing bad. You know what I mean? Like it's a fallacy.
Yeah, of
like
course.
this economy that we've been made to be afraid of. It's like, what is economy between business between two people, a group of people? There's always been economy.
I'll tell you what. You know who suffers is these inflated like industries that aren't real. You know who should be doing great in this time? Farmers, opening up farmers markets. Let's go buy some fresh fucking berries.
Yeah, but
let's go back to roots. Let's go back to the norm. I don't need these fucking plastic things. I don't need these shoes.
Mother Earth.
Yes, man.
Mother Earth will. Do you see what Mother Earth did? Everyone's like, oh, this planet's done. 3 months off. This bitch is fucking regenerating.
Well, she's getting ready to. I know she's cleaning up a little bit.
But because it's like, no, you gotta stop. Otherwise, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's so fucking weird.
See, that's what I like, man. I like the idea of us not having to rely on store. Oh, man. Okay. What about these fucking $1 billion Loblaws companies stealing $2 from their employees again?
I just talked about this in this. I do these cooking videos. I talked about this just recently where I was like, what the fuck did you say?
The Loblaws taking the $2.
Yeah, like the fact that they took away their pandemic pay. Like, what were they getting paid anyways?
They get paid like $13 or something crazy.
Listen to this. I talked about this in this thing. 30 years ago, my sister was working at Miracle Food Mart. Did you guys have that here?
I remember seeing it.
I'm from Sudbury, so we had 30 years ago. She was, I think, in high school and university. She was making $20 an hour.
Wow.
The top cashiers were making $25, I think, and $30 an hour. It's 30 years ago. Do you see what deteriorated? There was Fox in the 60s and 70s, this whatever, Illuminati 1%, whatever the fuck they are. They organized, like there's names of these groups. And the biggest peddler, the United States Chamber of Commerce.
Just didn't do anything to stop it.
They've been doing bad shit.
And how did they do it? Just from behind the scenes controlling numbers?
Yeah, it's like the deep state, right? And then they create these things that then start to act as though they're part of the United States, and so you can't tell. Where you think that there's organizations that I've heard where I'm like, oh, that's an American institute, government thing, and you're like, no, that's not. It operates like all these groups of people that operate in like the people. I don't know I'm sure if you're in Washington as a politician, you know there's a deep state.
No choice.
They have to know. Like, how can you not know?
And you know who they control and who they use who they put in power on purpose to just let these things fly. But you know what I like? I always like to believe that guy. You know who Mitch McConnell is? I love that Mitch McConnell because he's been in power for like 1 trillion years. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And he's just like, everybody hates him, but he just never goes away. You're like, who's electing this guy? How does this guy stay in power?
Because they just come out and talk to you every couple of years. They got a campaign. I'm like, I'm gonna help make change. You know what I mean?
Man, but their campaigns in America is so cool because they can just get money from anybody and a bunch of associations and companies, and they can just funnel it through other people. That's fucking sick, man. It might not be cool for us, the public. If you're a politician, that's fucking sick. That makes sense. Those guys are looped, man. And we have to admit that the left and the right admit that that's crazy, but they both let it happen because it helps both of them. We got people supporting the left and we got people supporting the right. It's fucking, man, okay. We're getting too deep here. We gotta chill out. Let's take a second, okay?
I feel like this one.
Because America is fuck America. Let's focus on Canada for a second. Yeah, they're the worst, and they reach into our fucking world so much. And then okay, hold up, we're getting back in. What about Canadian shit? How do you feel about the Canadian, not the Canadian economy, the Canadian government, and where we are right now as a people and a government?
Well, I think that whereas our neighbor south of the border had a leader that in a political system so unstable that in 3 days into the pandemic, the system collapsed. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, look, if anybody has an argument for why this post-capitalist society works, they should be shot in the face. I'm not gonna shoot them. You know what I mean? It's like, wake the fuck up, right? And then they're like, oh, we're gonna give you guys $1,200, and that's it. And then they put them back to work. They have the highest cases of COVID in the world.
And they don't stop. They just keep chugging along.
Yeah.
You know why? Because America don't give no fucks.
Because they can't profit off of the pandemic.
They're great.
And they're still trying to make deals with the devil still. You know what I mean? Like the black snake, it's the devil. You don't think about that. That's the thing. The devil, when you look at the personification of America, which became their president,
of course.
And you know, was that it was the devil always shaking the bells and being like, look at us over here. You know what I mean? Come over here. Come and get all these jewels, all these gold, all this.
Look what I got. You know, all this great stuff. Don't you want it? Don't you love it?
Yeah.
Look, don't you want to fucking I know what you mean.
But then just be upset. Then like anything could be made. Then meanwhile, like people are producing all this shit, and then like one of the worst fucking criminal offenses is fucking Bill Clinton. When he, during his presidency, like 56,000 factories left the United States.
56,000 factories.
In the 80s, like when he was in power.
What did he do? He must have raised something. He must have done some shit.
Oh yeah, they passed laws for this to happen without referendum. They just did that on their own. And then all of a sudden, people are like, oh, you know, the middle class disappears off of America. A lot of black families, like they were, you know what I mean. People were making good money.
Man, that's wild.
They ripped all that apart.
Wouldn't you just love a middle class? What I wouldn't do to be fucking middle class. Like,
well, working middle class, it's like, I know, like middle class. I mean, we're not middle class, but we're.
What I wouldn't do to be middle class.
What is class? I fucking hate those.
I don't like the class. Do you know what I want?
You want the style.
Yeah.
You want middle style.
Yeah, I want middle style.
Class style.
I want to wear nice khaki shorts and like a polo shirt, and then like my daughter would be like, "Oh, Dad, can we have some ice cream?" And I'd be like, "Of course, dude." You know. Instead, it's like, "Dad, can I have a creamsicle? Get your fucking creamsicle, you piece of shit!" Because I'm gonna tell you something. I grew up so blessed, even though I was the third child of an immigrant family, and I thought we were middle class. I was so blinded by how happy I was as a kid that I one time asked my parents if we were millionaires.
Oh, that is this sweet. Oh my God, I
swear to God. And I remember because of how they were reacting, they looked back in the car and were like, what are you talking about? Like, we have a nice house, we have a nice car, we millionaires. And my dad just being like, fuck it. Like, he didn't say crazy, but he was being like,
the sweetest thing.
And I want you to know, man, nowadays, obviously, like, man, I could never even afford to live in the city that I grew up in. Like I look at trying to buy a house.
See how stupid that is?
I have to buy a house like at 2 hours away. That's what, like, or an hour and a half away. That's how far away I have to live from the city.
That is in the new economy, in the green new economy, that wouldn't happen.
Man, how could it happen? It's disgusting that it happens.
Yeah.
Unless you want to live with 3 of your friends at fucking 30 years old, and you better have some good fucking friends, because I ain't living with nobody who takes shits and doesn't flush at 30 years old.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'll tell you.
And we don't need all those storefronts. Like, what's gonna? You were asking about what you were gonna ask. You were asking me about what I think about Canada. What we think. I mean, like so I think, like, you know, I was saying, compared to our neighbors on the south, and I know we always talk too much about these people. Whatever. During the pandemic, our prime minister addressed the country, right? He was logical. He always had something to announce, and he gave people money. At the end of the day, they knew that's why you can tell these people are smart. But we wouldn't expect them to be any more, like, we wouldn't want them to be any less smart. Because if they didn't pay us, then people in town would be like, yeah, motherfucker, we're going to hunt you down, or we're going to go on the streets.
Yeah, it would have lasted. I swear to God, it would have lasted 2 weeks.
People wouldn't, like, you know?
Man, I'm on that, sir. I love that shit. I'm going to tell you straight up, this whole time has been such a cleansing of my personality. So much ego has been dropped. Yeah, so much of my old act, I can't even imagine connecting to it anymore. There's so much more that I want to talk about. There's so much more that I think humans need to ascend to and talk about. I think I think humans are done being pandered to and being talked down to by rich folks who think they're better than us because they have a nicer car and they live a better life. Because those folks what their little folks are doing are propping up the even more rich, okay, by making us feel like shit. Some of the most blind people I know are some of the most rich I know, and they couldn't, because their issues are so different than ours. You ever watch okay, a friend of mine's dad's pretty rich. He was talking about Black Lives Matter, and I just couldn't imagine. Having that point of view. He's like, these people are stupid. What the hell are they talking about? Of course, Black Lives Matter, but it's only Asian lives. And it was one of those dudes, and you're just like, what are you talking about? So I didn't even say anything at the time because I'm fucking weak. I didn't say shit at the fucking time because I hear him talk, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, sir. That's whatever, you know? But I wish I had more balls. I wish I had more balls to explain to people why moving forward we have to unite as one. Not in the sense that I don't believe in Black lives. What I'm talking about is we need to unite as one to focus on who's actually oppressing us. It's not white, it's not black, it's rich. Ultra mega Jeff Bezos fucking. There's so many, but yeah.
Do you know that like billionaires around the planet, their fortunes were declining during the pandemic, except for American billionaires whose fortunes increased? Does that not sound like deep state shit to you?
That's beyond deep state shit. You know what I like?
Do you know what I mean?
I like that they're probably not even for fucking okay. I love this. This is getting so good.
This is an amazing conversation.
This is a good podcast so far.
I think, you know what I mean? We haven't.
What weed is this?
This is, guys, anybody out there? If anybody's out there.
Yeah, if you're anybody out there, me and Sandra literally had to put the brakes on our conversation right now because it's getting fucking. Okay, so when it comes to America, obviously deep state, all this. Okay, obviously when you get
deep into it. We could talk about Canada more.
Canada and England, obviously England has its own deep state style that controls us here too, but not really anymore, but obviously in a weird way with the money and the fucking Governor General or whatever the fuck all that crap is. I'm here to report for the Queen, and the Queen says yes to absolutely everything for the last 100 years.
Why the fuck is she still on our money? Give her a little pin in the corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But she's got to take all that space.
She's on the money.
Because it's her money.
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't that fun?
This bitch is like, yeah, I'm gonna get every $20. Like this.
This is so nice. Okay.
This is the whole thing. The system. Okay, when you talk about Canada, the primary, like you know what I mean, pandemic, whatever. They dealt with it. There was a lot of hysteria, a lot of fear.
Yep.
But at the same time, like what was amazing in our country, they all got together. There was no political, it was across the board. Everyone came on. Look at what happened to fucking Rob Ford. Is that not like a miracle, like a transformation of a human being?
You can shit on him when he's shit, but we have to say like, yo, he's shit sometimes, but this motherfucker stepped the fuck up over here. He wanted to help out everybody, make sure there was loot. I'm gonna tell you too, man. Do you think, as a country, that will in the future lock down quicker? Because Canada watched everybody lock down for a while and we didn't do nothing. I thought that was kind of cool. Not because of anything. I just was like, why? I honestly was like, we should lock down, right? I mean, we're testing people at the airport. Why not just lock it down like it is now? It's pretty much. We waited for everybody to lock down. I always feel like Canada is too nice of a country sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you feel that sometimes?
Yeah, it's like I feel like Justin Trudeau. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, buddy, we get to theater. We know you're doing a couple monologues.
I love that guy's monologue.
I know, they're great. Yeah.
Come on, hey, when that guy comes out with the disheveled hair and he's like,
"Oh, Jesus.
Canadians, this weekend was one of the roughest we've had." I don't know, he doesn't have that accent, but when I do Justin Trudeau, I do French Canadian.
He would have been way cooler if he had a French accent.
Oh yeah,
right?
but you see, but he doesn't have the racism, so he can't carry the accent. You know, if you're gonna have that accent, you have to have the little slight racism. Like, we just don't want the religious symbols from the Indians and the other brown people of sorts. You're like, what? You didn't even try. No, but okay. Yeah. Justin Trudeau, I love his monologues. How do you actually feel about Justin Trudeau? Like, okay, I love to be influenced by conservative hate. I truly do. I have real hardcore hate-filled conservatives on my Facebook, and I'll get into it with them on purpose. I just want to feel it. I want to feel where it's coming from. I want to know if you don't engage, I promise you will only be able to have an outsider's perspective. You need to know why. So sometimes you engage, I have a guy from Alberta gets all angry because of the oil. Fine, okay. And then you have some people in the comedy scene even, or Canadian comedy are some pretty hardcore conservatives. So you engage with them. You want to see what it is. Their hate for Justin Trudeau isn't even about political shit. It's never about political shit.
No.
It's always about weird shit like, what he should have been doing or what he could have done. Or, Andrew Scheer. Man, wasn't it great when Justin Trudeau was giving everybody CERB and those 2,000 checks were coming in and were like, yeah. And then Andrew Scheer started getting on the news and he was like, the Liberal government should have done this, should have done that.
That's when it pissed me. I was like, that's when it started to be over because it was all nonpartisan. Everyone came together.
I know. Do you remember that? And
then when they started whining,
he whined. He's like, you should have done more. You should have done. You're like, are you nuts, bro? I'm sitting at home, 2 G's in the bank.
Shut up.
Let's go, you fucking jabroni.
And stop whining. Like the old political, you know what the thing is? Even our country, all this shit's gonna disappear. The way that we are governed, they say it's gonna be more like community, like tribal. Like
it has to be.
You have you live like my neighborhood, Leslieville. You know where I live, right?
No, you live in a great neighborhood though.
Yeah, but it's like that would become like a community that has a council, and that person would then go and express her,
Do you still live in that nice apartment building that I seen a few years ago?
No, I don't. No, I live just east of there in Leslieville.
But you still live in the same community?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice area.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah. I can't really remember where the fucking apartment is, but I remember an apartment.
Yeah, it was such a great. It was a distillery.
Is that where it was?
Yeah.
I'm the worst. I'm like, I showed up by one time. We smoked some weed and talked until.
You came to my place?
Yeah. Was it your place or Phil's place? It might have been Phil's. There was a cow on the wall.
That's Phil's place.
Fuck. Isn't that funny? I just remember all of us hanging out.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think you were at my place, but sometimes you forget.
Might not. No, I just couldn't remember much. I was like, there was a cow on the wall. So like, that's Phil's. But you were there, so to me it was all in uma casa.
Uma casa.
Well, you're. Okay, we just went through such a great. This might be top 3 of our podcast so far.
This is amazing.
This is a good one. Okay, we went in from union to conspiracy to politics. I guess we can finish off on some lighter shit. Fucking. What the fuck do you do nowadays? You tell me you're working out. I complimented you today naturally as a friend. I said something. I said you got like a young glow going on right now. And I didn't know that. And then when the lights came on, I see that you had a fucking perfect bronze tan. And then you're like, I've been doing yoga and working out. I was like, you're working out? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, holy fuck, yeah. It was starting to show. You have a great physique. What are you doing right now? What are you?
I'm literally doing running.
You're running.
Yeah.
You got what do you put on? Like those running pants?
I got running pants, running shoes. Run. I used to run. I ran for 20. Oh jeez, 20. Over 20 years, I would just run, you know what I mean, jog, whatever. And I never had problems until about 5 years ago. My knees were just every time I go, you know what I mean?
I've never heard you sound like a nonna, but that was pretty nonna. She's like, but 5 years ago, my fucking knees.
And Italians, that's our issue.
I know, that sounds like,
I was trying not to get.
You're always hip.
Do I sound like a nonna?
No, you know what you sounded like? An old tia, like an old Zia. Yeah. Hey, old Zia.
But then it becomes a reality, you know what I mean? And then I was like, my
that's
knees.
classic.
But then during the pandemic, I remember just being like, I gotta go run. There was too much stress. I'm like, I have to run. And then I just started running, and I didn't have any more pain.
Music or no music?
No music.
You run to the sound of the city, but you live in a cool part of the city. Cars driving by, a little honk, a little, hey neighbors.
I don't feel safe. I don't even, I don't like even in the streetcar listening to stuff. It actually bothers my ears.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're alive, man, Sandra. You're fucking alive.
You gotta be alive.
I'm gonna tell you something. You don't want to know what kind of person I am? I put headphones on and they're off. I just have them on my head so that I can sit there with this muffled noise. So that I can kind of be in here, and I swear to God, man, I have those Beats by Dre's like everybody else, and I wear them with the sound off all the time. Even in the airport, I love wearing my headphones off in the airport, so that you can just chill the fuck out. I used to smoke weed in the airport, you know that? Yeah, I'll still smoke weed
inside.
Inside, I'll bring you just go to the washroom and stall. Usually there's a little shitter fan right above you, and you gotta go to a loud room. You need one that has like that background. Brrr,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that they can't hear your. Yeah. And I used to do dabs, because dabs will fuck you up one shot. And what you do is you bring a sweater in your backpack and you roll the sweater tight.
You mean you do a dab and then go on a plane?
But I'll do dabs.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
I'll have layovers and I'll do dabs for 2-3 hours.
No.
Listen, take a fucking nap, put a little alarm on right next to my head, and I'll even before I go to sleep, sometimes I'll lean in and I'll be like, "Gonna be here for a little bit?" To the person next to me, they'll be like, "Yes, sir, why?" And I'm like, "My flight's around 7, just if I'm still sleeping, just wake me up if that's okay." And most times they're like, "Yeah, no worries," but I already got an alarm on. But I'll get ripped at airports. In the washroom, loud washroom, brrr, you know what I'm talking about, okay? And you go to a stall, and usually you can see it already from the outside. It'll have like a grated fan, you know?
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's like a little hexagon fan. And you sit there and you kind of, when no one's looking, you rip a little piece of toilet paper and it sticks. And you're like, bingo, ringo. And that's it, man. You fucking unload your bong. And you have to bring a sweater. Because you're not directly blowing your smoke into it, because it might have a sensor that knows that smoke is going in.
You're allowed to bring this bomb over the border?
Man, you can bring dabs. Dabs are the secret. Because you can bring a little unit this big that's electrical. You just fucking, you charge it like with a portable charger, and it stays on, and it's just a little thing, and you go, and it's just a little like battery dab pretty much, okay? And so you can get ripped. You should. I've done bong hits too, but that was when I was going in Canada. You can do bong hits because you don't have to bring your dabs. You can just bring your weed because you can fly with a bong. One time, Danielle packed my bag. It was my partner. I go, "D, pack my bong," She's like, "Are you serious? You want to fly with your bong?" I go, "Yeah." She's like, "You want cologne too?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I bring it on my carry-on. I get to carry on to security. The lady goes, "We gotta open your bag, sir." And I go, "Is it the bong?" And she goes, "Bong." And she opens it, she goes, "No." And she sees right on top my jar that says, "Respect the plant from 7 acres." I have a little half ounce in a little rolled up bag. And my bong, my travel bong is silicone. And she goes, "Sir, out of all the things in your bag, it's the cologne that I need." And I start laughing. I go, "What a wild country we live in." She goes, "Man." And she closed it up and she was like having such a little laugh with me. And she's like, "Don't you want to keep this? You can just go back to the lights, go spray it in the garbage." And I'm like, "Can I just spray it right here on the floor, deep into the carpet?" And she's like, "Oh, you gotta go." And it was a full fucking bottle, fucking Dolce & Gabbana. God damn it.
Why? Oh, because you were doing it as a carry-on.
Yeah. I brought it
What
as
a dumb fucking rule. Like,
yeah. It was 125 mil, so I have to go spray 25 mil worth of, for real. And I didn't do it. I didn't give a fuck. And
but I mean, if it means like less weight on a plane, I'm all for it.
that's a stupid rule. I'll tell you what though.
But
This is just for listeners. If you want to smoke weed in airports in America, if you're traveling international, you bring dabs, because you can bring a month's worth of dabs and 1 candy wrapper of Werther's. And if you want to bring weed in Canada, you can just fly across this country with a bong right in your backpack. No biggie, man. No, nothing illegal about it. I'll tell you what, man. Getting high in an airport washroom, top 5 place I've ever been high. The adrenaline pumps the high so quick through your body.
I've never done it.
Listen, I've probably sat in a stall for close to 2 hours one time. I have my Nintendo Switch, I have my bong, and I sat in an airport in Deer Lake, Newfoundland, which is right at the top of Newfoundland. It is a airport that has 2 or 3 terminals. So there's like 50 to 100 people in the airport at any time. It's amazing. Got ripped in it all day. Shout out to Deer Lake. YZZT. No. What's the best place you performed in Canada?
Oh Jesus. Like theater, like venue?
Yeah, venue-wise. Like your favorite, like...
Oh, there's so many. I don't know. I can't think of them right now.
No, that's okay. What's your favorite stand-up place ever that you like?
Underground.
No choice.
Yeah.
It's the best.
And now it's gone. Ish.
Gone.
Still not gone.
I gotta go pick up the ashtray, to tell you the truth. I gotta go pick... There's an ashtray there for me. Your favorite comedian of all time?
I don't know if I can answer that.
No? Do you like, what's your favorite movie of all time? Something that defines you, Sandra Battaglini.
These things, oh my God, I love, okay, there's this is one of my favorites. It's called In Guerra per Amore.
Oh, I knew you were going to go with a cool answer like that. You're like this old Italian movie.
No, it's not even old. It's like At War for Love.
That's nice.
And it's this fucking film that you need, like, I can send you the link. You need to see this film. Because it's a cop, like, the guy's he's a comedian, so it's basically like, it's set in World War II.
Yeah.
And it starts off, he's in New York. He's trying to marry this girl. They're gonna get married, but she's the daughter of a mob boss.
Yeah.
Right? And anyways, she told him, you have to go back to Italy to get permission to marry me.
Classic, dude.
And then he ends up going to America. He ends up going to Italy. And then they're like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he says, he wants water. So he's like, I want water.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you're here for the war? Right? And it was just like the way he said war. And then he just got into the Italian, like he became part of the Italian
What
army.
fucking movie is this?
But it's so funny, like the comedy, it's brilliant, it's genius. You gotta watch this.
Man, that's if that was imagine the pitch. How do you pitch? Listen, I got a crazy pitch, man. I'm gonna go to Italy, he's gonna find out why.
I
imagine it's great.
No, but I'm not even giving the good log line. Like, it's really just about a guy.
What language is it in?
Italian.
The American guy too?
There's no American guy.
Oh, no, okay.
Just Italian guy.
Just Italian guy. Okay.
And then you're just like, oh my god, there's shit in there that's so great. At one
What
point,
year is this movie from?
5 years ago?
Wow.
It was a part of a festival here.
And it's like a genius Italian comedy.
Yeah.
You're gonna send me the link.
Oh yeah.
What's the name?
It's called In Guerra per Amore.
Okay, we're gonna put it right here.
Yeah, In Guerra per Amore. You need out there, watch this film. Like stuff like that.
At War for Love?
Yeah. Like, I love that. Like, I love that kind of shit. Like, it's set in World War II. I'm upset. Like, I spent a lot of time in World War II.
Did you watch the movie 1917?
No. What is it?
That movie that was up for all the Oscars this year or shit like that?
1917. What was it about?
The War in 1917 or some shit.
Really?
Was it
1919?
1917. It is 1917.
Oh, 1917.
Right? It is.
That's the end of World War I.
think so, yeah. I think it's about the last few hours of some guy's life and how they work. So you gotta watch this 1917. You know, honestly, man, Sandra, I wish you got to watch it in the theater because I got to watch it in the theater. And it's a fucking masterpiece. It's like one shot. They make the movie feel like it's one shot. But he wakes
Where's
up.
it from?
I can't remember. I can't remember the director or nothing right now, but I was
Sam Mendes.
Sam Mendes, yeah, Sam Mendes. Fucking masterpiece, Sandra. If you like history.
What country? What country?
He's American.
I think he's American, yeah. He might be from Europe, but I think I'm wrong. I think he's an American dude. But go watch the movie. If you like cinema and you like that kind of shit, you like war stuff, like if you're obsessed with war stuff, listen, man, it's a masterpiece. One shot, looks like it's one shot. It looks like it's just a camera following a guy from the beginning of his mission to the end of his mission, and he travels with his friend. It's just a fucking masterpiece. Bunch of celebrity cameos, secretly, very out of character, like cameos that you're like, what, is that the dude from fucking thing? What the fuck? But it was nominated for a bunch of Oscars. It lost to some fucking wacko Parasite. I watched Parasite. You like Parasite?
I loved it.
No, did you?
Mm-hmm.
I thought Parasite was top 7 out of 10. For real, I thought it was so predictable. I thought the family in the basement wasn't believable. I thought it was a wacko taco fucking storyline. And I also was very offended that it beat out 1917, which I thought was a fucking masterpiece. I was all fucking heartbroken.
Oh, wow.
Parasite's great. Fuck, okay, if you guys Danielle, tell me.
No, but now I want to see 1917. I don't know why I didn't hear about this.
It's a fucking masterpiece. I also didn't like the other one that everybody's saying, Adam Sandler's movie. That was whatever. Gems. Fucking Stolen Gems.
Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems.
That made me really nervous.
You didn't like it?
You didn't like it?
And our producer, Mill,
He did?
He did like it. Fuck. And I'm like, Mill's opinion in film fucks with me. I'm like, fuck, he knows his shit too.
It was insane. Me too. Like, but it was stressful.
Uncut Gems?
Yeah.
That's what I just.
What the fuck is happening?
I didn't like Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett wasn't believable. I didn't like that they had. What? Fuck. We couldn't get a better acting fucking basketball player. But I guess it made sense because the storyline and blah 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 and everything that happened. I think it's like based on some true shit. I don't fucking know. But Uncut Gems was whatever, man. It was another like 6, 7. Parasite was. I don't like that. I don't like the family in the basement. I didn't like that the dad and all of them got murdered and shit at the party.
Yeah, it was intense.
It's intense.
Really
I
intense.
like that they kind of escaped. Like, she's kind of cool. Parasites, whatever. You know, I'm going back now. I'm like, it was like, fuck. It wasn't even that good of a thriller. I guess. I don't know. I was kind of biased. I didn't like it. I also, at the time, was looking at like cool homes, and their home was so cool, and I could just imagine how affordable it would be for a normal person like me. I was like, piece of shit.
Who
The rich folk with their cool fucking modern home.
Oh, okay.
Do you know from Parasite?
Oh, right. Totally got high for a moment. I was like, what's he
Like, when we were rambling, I'm like, goddamn rich folk. They're like, rich.
I was like, where are we right now? I don't know.
Talking about the rich folk from Parasite. Fucking.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. That was insane. That storyline was really insane. It's like that. It's like that. If you watch Killing Eve.
No, it's Killing Eve. Hey, what's Killing Eve?
It's on the crate with Sandra Oh.
Sandra.
Sandra. Oh, is she Canadian?
Yes.
You're
Yeah, it's
like the Italian Sandra Oh. You got that vibe. You're the Italian Sandra Oh, man. You're like cool and like, you know.
The Italian Sandra. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's great.
Is that cool? I don't know. I'm like, is that too much? Is that weird?
No.
I was like, Sandra Oh, cool enough? Because you want to. Is that like?
No,
is that too low of a funny shot? Is it a shot? You're like, I think I could do better than Sandra Oh. I don't want to be the.
I don't know about that, but like she. Yeah.
No, she's great. Yeah. Of course, it's just me talking shit. But
why did I bring up like that?
the show, Killing Eve.
No, that it's just so intense, and you just like, and then it gets in your head. Like, listen, I had fucking bouts of paranoia during this pandemic. You know, there were times I was like, what the fuck is happening?
What was your favorite conspiracy you don't want to believe in during this whole thing? Right? Because there's been so many that you got to pick and choose. Some of these got to be real. You know?
I don't know.
Bill Gates fucking kids. I don't want to. Extraordinary things need extraordinary evidence. So I'm going to find some middle ground where I'm like, reptilian people still too much for me during this time. But can I believe that COVID was created in a lab? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
I mean, no matter which way you want to call it, you want to say a lab, you want to say whatever. It's the result of humans doing too much damage to the earth.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
You know what I mean?
Why are we creating diseases in fucking labs anyway?
I don't know.
And releasing them into the public. A monkey stole a vial of fucking COVID and ran away with it.
These are theories, right? Like that it's possible that that's what happened, or at the end of the day, it's just like too many people were traveling, everyone going back and forth at the rate that they were and flying everywhere.
It's really great that we taught ourselves that how quick disease can spread like that through travel. It was wild, huh?
But just like think about it, everybody was running around, and like now that we've all took a break, it's just like that old pace. Like, listen, I really see. Like, I just realized too. Like, just recently, I was like, oh look, when the politicians started to become whiny, then the people eventually started to become whiny. And like on social media, like even in our community, I'm like, oh, all right, people are going back to being cunts again.
Yeah, they know.
And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? After everything that's gone, I think this pandemic or whatever shift, this massive shift that's happening, there are lots of, this has all been prophecy.
Of course, for years.
And like this massive shift, it's like, I don't remember what I was going to fucking say.
This massive shift is coming.
What did I say before that?
And you're talking about how, I don't remember.
I'm officially too high now.
We're both ripped. This should be happening during a podcast where we're getting high. Okay?
Oh yeah, this massive shift, that's what I want to say.
What are you talking about?
This massive shift that's happening is, the earth is at the center of the conversation. So by the time this pandemic is all done with, it's going to break people down so much that they finally realize, oh, I can't be a cunt anymore.
Because
everyone's now online. Oh, they're just like, I'm on this. This is my cause now.
People love it, man.
You know what I mean? And then
people
getting
love
other
being
people
assholes.
online.
I don't know, man. I know someone who was given a full second chance in life, brink of death, cancer's about to kill them, on the deathbed. Some fucking miracle happens. Everything changes in a few weeks. Health starts coming back. Boom, boom, boom. And I want you to know that I know this person personally, their family. They were such a fucking cunt prior to cancer. And I wouldn't be surprised that all the negative shit that they created internally, in here and in here, led to their constant negative feeling internally that that's the kind of shit that cancer would feed off. How quick their life change. And I thought after this, while your life, you've got to be able to not be a cunt. You're about to die. You know, this person's openly racist. This person's openly homophobic, and it sucks. And I see it. And after cancer, there's no way. For the first month or two, I felt like there was light. There was like a new light.
In this person. And
I want you to know, not anymore. It's not sustainable. It's just humans who are shit at the core either need to be like cleansed when they're kids in the sense that they need to be taught not to be pieces of shit, that they have to clear their mind either through reading, through education, through peaceful meditation. Just go sit in your fucking backyard. Ask people when the last time they heard a bird was. Some people haven't heard a bird in years. A bird. You know what I'm saying by that? You ever just sit in a fucking park and you hear a bird and you just listen to that bird for a little bit because you're like, that's what I'm listening to right now.
My backyard, which is where I have spent so much time, it's like this fucking whole ecosystem of these trees and the birds come and the bees and it's this fucking movement. It's so adorable.
I'm trying to get a hummingbird feeder in my backyard because I love hummingbirds. It's the greatest thing in the fucking world. Do you ever hear a hummingbird up close in the morning? Have your coffee one day if you ever get a chance to get a hummingbird feeder. I don't know if you get them in Toronto, but you live in Leslieville. It's very hippy dippy, lots of trees. Maybe.
Yeah.
You live in Leslieville, that's fucking cool. I grew up in the West End. I grew up in like a sewer, you know? Lansdowne and Dupont. It's a fucking sewer. There's not a tree for like a mile.
It's ridiculous.
It's a fucking...
and that's the other thing. Natural space is going to return to the city.
What? I wish. I haven't been in the city for about 3 months. I'm living up north right now. My parents.
It's a dream.
But we left the city at the beginning of COVID. We left to go do some thinking. And we've been up there since. I'll tell you straight up. One of the greatest things I've come to realize is the connection with the morning. People in the city are robbed of their mornings. Yeah. Their mornings are slave type mornings where they wake up and they're drudging and coffee and pancake. You know what I'm saying? You know, your whole life changes if you can fucking get out of your house in the morning. You feel that dew air. You kind of see the sun coming up a bit. There's these birds that talk in the morning that you don't even hear any other part of your life until you come out of your house in the morning, and there they are. And you just love them, and you listen, and you fucking feel the dew. And you have this. The coffee tastes so fucking good. I don't care if it's a drug. I don't care if it's a poison. It's the greatest thing in the world at fucking 7 in the morning. Sun's coming up, and I love the summer because the sun hits you already 7 in the morning. You ever catch a fucking sunbeam in the face 7 in the morning? You're like, "What up, baby? Let's fucking do this."
Yeah, like I
go to that shit.
That's what I've been doing. I get up in the morning, make coffee, and sit outside, and the sun's already shining.
But let a sunbeam hit you in the
9
face.
a.m. sun.
People are too dark for that. It's just. Homeless guy asking for $1. Give me oh my god. I drove in the city today for half an hour the whole day. I had a beautiful day up until I got to fucking Black
And it is so much better than it was. Listen, I really gotta go to the bathroom. I'm not ready for this to be over. I just have to go to the bathroom.
Go take a shit.
No, it's not. I don't even know why I have to tell you.
Take a shit.
I don't even know why I would have to tell you. Like, no, I'm not gonna take a shit. I swear to God.
It's because human nature is different. So we're gonna take this time to thank our sponsors, Red Licorice, aged 2 weeks.
Great. I'm asking back.
It's a good one, huh? It's a good podcast.
This is fucking one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life.
See, at the beginning of this podcast, I was like, I gotta make sure that we get past the break of who podcasts a lot of the time when I listen to them, especially some of the Toronto ones. This isn't when I was learning how to do this podcast, I listened to a lot of the local podcasts, and a lot of them get stuck in character, which is I call podcast character, where they're like constantly like, yeah, I know, and the topics are, and you're like, that's not how you guys talk. And you and I, when we talk, we sesh, we smoke, we have a laugh, we get some serious shit, we kind of lean in and you're like, you're just fucking shit. And I needed to make sure that I got that energy with you too. We're probably gonna wrap up soon anyway, but because it's been a long time. I wouldn't mind taking a piss too and shit, but
I couldn't handle it.
I could see for about 5 minutes before that there was something on your mind.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, I was like, is she gonna drop it? And you're like, I got pee. I'm like,
I just, anyways, I'm still interested in talking, but we can do whatever you want.
I don't know.
We can talk more, we can cut it up, cut it off.
I don't want to. I'm gonna keep going because we have more to talk about.
Yeah.
What else is Sandra Battaglini into? What do you watch on TV nowadays?
Ooh, oh my God. One of my favorite pandemic shows was My Beautiful Friend. My Brilliant Friend, HBO Italian show. Do you know that fucking show?
No.
You guys see that?
I've been watching a lot of HBO though.
Do me a favor.
Yeah.
This show is one of the most amazing things that have ever been made.
My Beautiful Friend.
My Beautiful Friend. My Brilliant Friend.
My Brilliant Friend.
You know this show?
No.
Everybody's been talking about it. Everybody's like, it's like,
On Netflix?
no, Crave.
Okay.
It's HBO. But it's this amazing story. It's all in Italian. Like, you watch this and you're just like, it was painful to watch at times because the emotion was so real. It was so visceral for me.
You don't think I'll start crying watching this shit? I'm all about it. I
Because
love
just
it.
like, you see the way Italians are. And like, when you take place in it anyways, it's a brilliant show. So that was like, I watched that during the pandemic. I don't know, so many things. I feel like there's not that much, I don't know, like, there's not a lot of great stuff. That's the other thing that this
I don't watch
pandemic...
TV, yeah. There's nothing. I don't watch TV. I watch Simpsons, that's it.
This is the other thing that this pandemic revealed. It's like, the old system was all about just getting stuff out. It was at a clock, on a timetable. You know what I mean? Like,
The time construct is kind of dissolved. Is that what you're kind of saying? Like, it doesn't... for the first few weeks of COVID, I didn't know if it was Tuesday. I didn't know if it was Saturday.
No, I know.
I didn't know if it was 2 o'clock. I didn't know if it was 5. I couldn't even care. Who the fuck even gives a shit if there's no schedule to keep? Why?
And like, that's how humans used to live.
You ever talk to indigenous people about it? You know how they kept days? By the weather.
Yeah, I know.
That's how you describe it to your friend. Hey, the other day on the rain day, do you remember we were out and then we camped out and it was raining and then we spent the rain night to the sunny morning. Do you remember? And it wasn't a Tuesday. It was, you would talk about it by the phase of the sun. Was it cold? Was it hot? And that's how you connected, because there was no need to connect to a giant amount of people. It was to connect to your local friend, your family.
Yes.
Why do you need Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? You need the last 3 days and maybe tomorrow.
So that a select few of rich men and the queen could,
You must work for me for this amount of days, and you must carry this load.
and you must sign here that you agree in perpetuity.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a little soup this week if that's possible.
And then, people agree to that shit because they starved them and gave them no choice but to work. What they did is trick the human into thinking that capital is better than land, then is better than education, knowledge. If you gave humans land and the education to grow, maintain, and harvest their own food, they would all not need government. You wouldn't need your politician. You wouldn't need shit. You need some land.
And we already knew this.
That was our system. That was our system. Correct. So
Monsanto comes along and starts destroying everybody by like forcing people to buy their seeds. You know what I mean?
This kind of stuff going forward, though, needs to be taken by a good company. There should be a company that develops easy to grow food for everyday people. What we can't let it be is...
There's a lot of people that are doing that, but yeah.
It needs to become a mainstream thing. Easier to grow food. You get the fucking thing, you put some fucking water like a chia pet, boom, there's your strawberries. Yeah. Boom, put some water here, there's your fucking... But we can't let it be taken over by Monsanto type folk that are gonna fucking destroy real farmers, that are gonna destroy agriculture as we know it. I'm down for skyscrapers to be turned into, instead of residential type living, into farming.
I say that too all the time.
Okay, why are we living like that?
Happen.
We should be living on farm type things.
Yeah.
Okay, and we should be planting up. I'm okay with that.
There used to be farms in Riverdale farms. There's farms all over Toronto.
Yeah. That farm idea is so far away from the human, almost the human like day to day nowadays that they couldn't imagine. Can you imagine some of these people that the education system has spit out that is like, oh my god, I need to order my Uber Eats, my fucking toasted avocado. It's like these people need to breathe some real air and realize that you don't need all this extra shit. What you need is to find peace in yourself so that you don't spread hate, so that you can share love, so that you as a person can grow into. That's why artists are so beautiful, because a lot of us choose to be poor and happy than rich and sad. I would rather live in an apartment or rent out something or live fucking an hour outside of the city, but be happy and be able to hear the birds and listen to the crickets at night and look at some stars, then know that I have a cool apartment with a snazzy phone. I'm saying this, but I also drive a BMW, so I'm a piece of shit. But, you know, you gotta find a little bit of middle ground.
Look at this fucking guy.
Hey, I bought it for my dad. Hey, you have immigrant dads. You have immigrant dads? I bought my dad
Oh yeah, I love
a
the story.
BMW.
I
One of
love
those, I bought my dad a BMW because I destroyed his van as a teenager.
Yeah, that story is amazing.
So I destroy his van. I buy him a car. At first, he's really excited. Finds out that it's stick, not so excited. I start trying to teach him how to drive stick. And just imagine, my dad's 70 and he's losing cognitive function, so we're doing everything we can to try to get him excited about doing something. We're building decks, we're bringing wood to the house, we're trying to get him to build, trying to get him to stay fucking focused. Because my dad is slowly losing it. Because as soon as it's crazy what happens these days. As soon as he retired from work, instead of being the sharp dude that he was his whole life, he starts becoming like this old Dad, you want to build a deck? I want to build a deck, but then you gotta buy screws. You gotta put the screws in the wall.
That's my fucking dad.
You're like, what
complaining all the time.
Dude, he never stops complaining.
My dad, your dad's just turned out. Mine 89.
89.
He wants to sue the Bank of Nova Scotia. It's his fucking mission, bro. Okay, like.
What does he want? What does he want back from them? They take something.
He's accusing them of taking money out of his account. It appears that this money is leaving his account. But because he only has those books,
he's like,
where's the money going?
He's still doing the books.
He was the sharp, my father was sharp with my father's sharp with math. Him and my sister both have this ability to be like, hey, what's the tax on $1,298? And then they can calculate really high math.
I can't do that shit.
Just on the spot, my dad and my sister. But now it's like, okay, you're 89, and I showed him already. I'm like, Daddy, look, this money's coming out of this account and going to this account, but we didn't know what it was. That's all. It's like, what is this money doing?
Yeah, why is it moving?
Anyways, and then finally I'm just like, can we just give the man, let's see the outputs to prove to him where it was going, and what is the CTD? Never explained it. And then at one point, we went to the bank. The woman was like, "Yeah, well, there was an entry in his passbook that was from another client." They're like, "Oh yeah, sometimes she must have just put yours on there and it printed the other account." And I'm like, of course this old man's gonna get confused. He's like, "What the fuck is this?
What is this number? Where's this number coming from? This is not my money. This is not your mother's money. They're taking our money." My father gets confused like that. So when we got him a car to drive in the summertime because he loves the outdoors. Get him and my mother out. So we buy them this little convertible. We start taking him for drives in the spring. My dad starts getting flustered because he's too embarrassed. Because the car is too nice for the person that he is. He said that to me. He's like, "It's just too nice, I can't drive it." Like, what are you talking about? He's like, "Too many people look." I'm like, "Nobody's looking." He's like, "Everybody look." I'm like, "Nobody's." He says, "Nobody's looking." He's like, "When you drive, I see the other people, they're looking." I'm like, "Yeah, they're looking because it's like a convertible. You just naturally look." He's like, "I don't want people looking when I'm driving." So now he just wants to be a passenger in the car. He doesn't.
You drive a convertible BMW.
I have to drive him all the time. So he'll call me and be like, "We're gonna go to your uncle's. Your mom gonna go with your brother. We can go." And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll go." He's like, "Okay, come get me." And I have to drive from Wasaga to Toronto. We'll go hang out for a few hours with the family. I'll go drop him off. And I'm like, "Don't you just want to learn it? It's easier." He's like, "It's nice. You drive me. We listen to the music. I don't have to worry." So now I've become a chauffeur to my father in his old age, even though I just wanted him to have the fucking car and I could use it on the weekends. Like a cool teenager, even though I turned 30 this year. This motherfucker won't drive it anymore. So he's just become a passenger. So then I've taken over the insurance. I have to put my fucking name on the insurance, my bullshit insurance. I'm still eating it for tickets I got when I was like 21, 22. Like a punk, like kid, just ripping around the city. And I'm still eating it on my insurance. So yeah.
I've had years of carrying around tickets. That was like, oh shit! And I was like, I'm gonna fight this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you do you go to those trials and you're like, oh, they forget.
There is no worse room in my life that I've ever been in than the room where you fight the tickets.
Oh, that is.
I have been in a room with degenerates in my life, but it was like walking into a scene from the movie Men in Black, where like the light was flickering. Like there was like a guy behind the counter who was like an old gay guy who was smoking. Like, what are you here for? I'm here I'd like to fight these tickets. Let me see. This one's unfightable. This one you'll have to pay the fee. They're like, man, what the fuck? I didn't even fight them. I just left and I paid them because it was so fucking weird. One time I had to go to the Civic Center or whatever the fuck that place is. You ever have to go there to fight a ticket? It's like North York Civic Center or some shit like that. I can't remember what the fuck it's called. But they have like a little like place there where you go fight the tickets.
Oh yeah, and in Scarborough?
No, it's on Eglinton and fucking something. I don't know what the fuck it is. Eglinton and like
what?
Keel. You called me out. I was like Eglinton and what? I'm like.
I'm like, you're gonna keep dropping that bomb?
I had nothing. It was so good. I was like, it's somewhere. You know where it is. We had to go there one time. That's another room with degenerates. What's the most degenerate-filled room you ever been in? Can you think of it? You're like,
what?
Degenerate-filled room. Is it like an open mic maybe? Fuck.
Oh, God. There's so many. You ask me these questions and I can't.
Because you work in entertainment because you've been in some fucking crazy...
Like, degenerate-filled... Yeah,
Okay, I love you. You're so funny.
Lunacy Cabaret.
I was gonna say, there's some wild cats in that motherfucking place. Man, okay.
That was so fun.
So I don't watch TV anymore. You don't watch TV? Do you have cable?
No, I watch Netflix, Amazon, whatever.
Cable though or no? You have any cable TV?
No.
I don't have cable. You know what I got though? Because this is how closely rooted I am to my immigrant. Fuck. I have the illegal box. I got it.
I have an antenna, but it doesn't really work. And
I don't got the antenna. My dad calls me one day. Mike, you want cable? I'm like, what? He's like, you want cable? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, $15. Okay? Hey, you get you movies. I'm like, what kind of movies? He's like, the movies, the new movies. I'm like, what else does it have? He's like, Portuguese. I'm like, I don't want Portuguese cable. He's like, some English too. You can watch English. You have to choose the English. I'm like, so can I watch my shows? He's like, I don't know. What's your shows? I'm like, the news. He's like, yeah, there's news. Lots of news. BBC, CBC, NBC. I'm like, okay, chill. Okay, so I get this fucking box. You have to connect your Ethernet cable to it.
That's good, yeah.
And what it does is it just streams internet streams of things.
Yeah.
So like 24-hour Simpsons, 24-hour South Park.
What's it called again, those boxes?
Android boxes, but
yeah,
not really though. This one's fucking...
It's super?
Nah, it's like in the middle. I've seen my brother-in-law's got one that's fucking crazy. You get like actual TV channels and you're like, dude, they're gonna kill you. They're gonna come after you for this shit.
And it's $15 a month?
$15 a month. You're paying black market. God knows who the fuck this money goes to. But it's the craziest thing. You're like, I feel bad for TV people because these fuckers are struggling enough. And it's crazy because you can just stream. The internet is killing television, and there has to be a transformation.
No, but maybe if you think they're only paying $15 a month, like that's what people believe. The internet, it should be a utility.
Yeah, obviously.
So it's like, think about it. Before you used to pay your cable bill, right, and you would have like all this content, right?
Yeah, that's not like that anymore.
Yeah, and then
this
like
on-demand shit is awful.
No, but I mean, like, what are you paying for? Why are you paying for the internet plus the content on the internet, like watching an HBO show? Shouldn't that come with the fucking subscription of this internet?
See, but then the internet companies will have to work with the entertainment companies. So what you have to do is do a Netflix. You have to go directly to the consumer. So what that's going to do is it's going to stop the production of low audience shows. People like reality shows. People like reality shows of all kinds. They like disasters. Like I used to watch the police show that's live. Fuck it, I care. Live PD, man. You ever watch a show called Live PD?
No.
It's like Cops, but it's live. They stream the shit.
That's hilarious. In America?
In America, and they follow like 10 different fucking police So what they do is it's a perfect mix of live streamed action. So as soon as something is happening, probably give it about a 10 to 30 second delay so they can cut off somebody's head getting chopped off or shot or something. But they give it a little delay, but for the most part there'll be just a guy and a team of cops, and they'll be examining clips that they've compiled throughout the week of events in America. And then once in a while, there's big, all right, we have a live event happening in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're going to cut live to the Tulsa police station, and it'll be a cop with like a GoPro and a camera in his car, and he'll be driving and being, okay, so right now we're heading down to this shooting. A man has barricaded himself in his house. We're going to go see if we can resolve this. And they'll
How
just
are they allowed to do that?
because they're fucking loopy. They're loopy in it.
That is disgusting.
Okay, and it's live streamed, and I used to watch it, and as like shitty as that seems, it was one of my favorite shows because I love a train wreck. I fucking love a train wreck.
Oh yeah, those kinds of shows.
What was your favorite train wreck show you watched?
Lucky, that just got canceled
Did it?
because of George Floyd.
Wow, that got canceled because of George Floyd. I'm gonna tell you something, man.
30 years, cops is gonna.
Dude, it was cops make sense. I'd like to talk about that quick because I watched Live PD and I can't believe that I can't believe that it's been canceled because it exploited. Me and Danielle would sit there and watch this and be like, man, this is mostly black people, Latin people, and Hicks. Straight up white people that are just. The crazy thing is they support like the most conservative of views, and it's the ones that keep them poor, and they're there. And I remember just watching Live PD, and the police would roll up to like just poor white people, like poor like communities, and be like, so what's going on here? And you could just see the lack of education. And
Man, he came here and he said to me, I don't love you no more. And I'm saying, we have a thing together, officer. We have a night.
and she's smoking, and she's all fucked up on drugs. And you're like, we shouldn't be watching this. This is clearly someone's private life being streamed, and I'm over there eating salt and vinegar chips, loving it. I'm like, look at these fucking Hicks, boy, oh boy, if I was there. And
Is that your favorite flavor, salt and vinegar?
Oh,
Bro.
baby.
Oh, I still love it, but really my favorite now is Miss Vicky's plain.
What are you? First your knees are going, now you're eating Miss Vicky's
Oh,
plate.
buddy. Yeah.
Soon you're gonna be suing the banks.
Now I'm just like, yeah. I think I became.
What did you
an
like
activist.
before? What did you like before?
What shows?
Chipwise. if you like Miss Vicky's now, what did you like Chipwise before?
Lay's was a good option.
Lay's
You
what?
know what I mean?
Ketchup?
I love the plain salt and vinegar. Yumma. Ketchup I didn't like for a long time. Truth be.
I hate barbecue chips. I think there's nothing grosser in the world of chips than barbecue chips.
But I think my favorite of the flavors is dill, buddy. If a chip company can do a good dill, it's it.
You ever been to Winnipeg? They have a dill dip there. It's a big thing in Manitoba, specifically Winnipeg, where they make a dip that is dill based. It's like a dill aioli or whatever the fuck. It's like that. It's fucking crazy. I don't even like dill, but I remember having that sauce and this is fucking what dill's all about. Now I like dill chips. I like dill pickle chips. Is that what you're talking about? Or just
dill pickle.
like
Oh
dill
my
pickle,
god!
right?
I wish
that
I.
tang. I love that tang.
But then
It's
it
not like
fucks you. If it's bad, like you know what? That taste, that feeling, just reminded me of sitting a vape on the lake.
Wow.
Remember those fucking days? And
You get so ripped, and you just.
How many hours do you think the time we spent there?
Just 3 hour long shows where they
Because you used to
usually.
have your own show, right?
I had my own show. Paul had his own show. Chris had his own show. We'd all have our own show during the week. I had Stoner Sundays too happening. That shit was wild. All those week shows were fucking crazy. I don't know if that's ever gonna come back. We'll see what happens with that shit. The Underground is gone. Vapor Central should be gone. Vapor Central's been bleeding money for a long time.
But what's about to happen though in this, new economy, but specifically Toronto, weed is going to be huge.
Yeah.
So they're preparing for that.
We
And
like the weed
lounges,
culture.
smoking, now that's the issue. Like if you couldn't smoke before, you think people are now like, yeah, I think there's a COVID-free general space here where people could smoke and no COVID's gonna get transmitted. Like when people smoke on the street, I'm like, for sure that that's your breath in there. Part of that exhale is your breath that you burned. Isn't that fucked up when you think about cigarette smoking? How fucked up that is?
That's so wild.
Burning. I mean, not the tobacco. Listen, tobacco is ancient and it's, you know.
We're not talking about tobacco. We're talking about the physics and the. Man, I like the idea of smoking. I love to smoke. I smoke like fucking 10 joints a day if I could, with a little nap in between. But
Do you smoke less now?
by so much, man.
Oh.
I have become a old man smoker. I hit my bong. I sit there, listen to some fucking birds, think about my life. I like to think about comedy and what I'd like to do. I'd like to. I'm gonna be a writer someday. I write a lot and that goes nowhere. I write, and then I just stop. You know what I gotta do then? I gotta find my medium. It's not gonna be long form writing like movies or television shows. It has to be short stories or short films or short documentaries. I love storytelling. I have a great ability to share the beginning, the middle, and the end, bring it all together. And I need to learn how to tap into that. I have so many ideas for TV shows because I hate TV. I hate TV. TV is so cheap. TV is literally, I cannot believe some of the stuff gets produced.
I've written so many concepts. Just actually, for the first time since this pandemic, I was inspired to write a cartoon, and I just wrote for 2 days, and I just wrote out this whole thing, with Rob Bebenik, and it's like we just started riffing. We had this conversation. It was based on like something that was going on, and I was like, I mean, I just kind of want to complete it.
Huge.
Do you know what I mean? Like complete, like figure it out, and then be able to like create it, complete it. You know, like I've got, you know, and there's, for example, I have like a screenplay that I've.
There's an angle or something.
No, I think it's outside.
Street sweeper? So the street sweeper.
Why? Like, what are we
Street sweeper.
That's so good. That's so perfect, Sandra. How much do you love singing fake songs of real songs?
My life. Street sweeper. I believe
Oh my God.
make it to morning light.
Oh my God, I'm really happy they did that because that's a perfect, just as.
That isn't the best, like, oh.
I am never not singing fake songs. I even make fake songs of my kids' TV shows that she watches regularly on TV, so I swear to God. Because I don't even like them anymore. So like Paw Patrol's Pimp a Trend, through always on an adventure. Because I'm so focused on the actual real song that I had to change it for my own sanity. What's your favorite fake song? Is there one that you sing in your head all the time? What's a song that you sing all the time in your head just naturally for whatever reason?
Oh my God, there's so many. Like every time you ask me these things, like I have. Oh God, I just had a bunch of songs just recently that I.
Right, just stuck in your fucking,
and then, yeah, and then I can't think.
I like the song.
I'm too high.
I like the song Venus. You know the one from the old commercial. I'm your Venus. Dude, I'll sing that song 100 times in my head. Some days if it gets going right in the morning, and then by the end of the day it's like I'm your penis, I'm your fire. You know, like by the end.
Me and Phil Luzzi.
But I'll get both of you guys on one day. That'd be great.
Yeah,
we'll just sing for half an hour. Fuck. Okay, wait. Yeah, you and Phil.
Pussy, we say, like, we use that word, I mean, and historically, just like, hey, puss, what's up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You guys are a comedy duo on and off stage. I can rarely say that about people, but on stage, the audiences love you, but off stage, the comics love you guys as friends. Phil and you, did you guys met as adults? Did you know each other as kids? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like a childhood bond. When you guys,
so true.
Yes. That's why I was like, I don't know. I was gonna assume that you met as adults, but I was like, you guys could have met in high school, and he might have like been this like cool gay dude that you were like, this is the fucking man, Phil Luzzi. But he is. Do you want? Give me the story. How did you Phil Luzzi?
So I was playing. Mrs. Vitale and Tony and Tina's wedding at the Second City.
Cool, for real?
Yes. That was like one of my first big act. Like
how old are you when this happened?
How old was I? Oh my God, this was like, my God, why am I stuck? Like maybe 31, 32.
Wow, cool. So you only meet Phil in your 30s.
Yeah. And I was in the show, okay? So, do you know what Tony and Tina's Wedding? Did you ever go to it?
No. Tell me a little bit about
So
that.
it's this off-Broadway show from New York. It's like an improvised play where you're going to Tony and Tina's wedding and all
And it's
all
Italian
the
type,
antics.
yeah.
It's like, you're fighting for you.
No.
Fuck you, your
It's
mama.
great. It's really
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, and it's an improv, and it's like this big cast, and it's a really fucked up show. Like, I auditioned for the touring company in Second City.
Wow, cool.
And then they call me and they're like, we'd like to offer you, and then they're like, Tony and Tina's wedding. And I was so mad because I'm like, you know what? These people only see me as a talent. Right? Like, there were no, like when I was there, it was like, how long was it just like, you know what I mean? Canadian names. Never Italian, you know what I mean?
Never hear an Italian name in it.
No!
But I wouldn't hear Alini, I know. But you wouldn't hear to somebody
Have
Alini.
you ever heard an Italian name on that stage? Yeah,
No.
but not
Who,
that much.
off the top of your head?
Portuguese?
Never.
But come
What
on!
I wouldn't do for a Santo Sora Pereira alongside Mike Myers, my goodness. But, so they choose you for Tony and Tina's
Yeah.
wedding.
So then I was mad, and then I said to the producer, I was like, "Can I think about it?" He's like, "Yeah, but you really should do it." And then I slept on it, and I couldn't sleep, and then I did it, and I'm telling you, it was one of the best things I ever did in my whole life.
Of course.
The people I met, it's where I met Phil. I'm doing the show.
Phil was a character too?
Well, he came to watch the show with his group of people. He worked at the casino in Niagara Falls. He fucking was head of guest services.
Fuck off.
This
I
guy.
can never imagine Phil. Phil's like an artsy dude to me. I can't imagine. He
It was just
corporate.
his job. Like, he's always been an artsy guy, but yeah, that was his job.
He was corporate.
Yeah, but in a casino. You know what I mean?
So you still get to be hip and
Oh,
funny.
yeah, fuck
Okay, I get what
yeah.
you're saying. Yeah. Casino
yeah.
isn't the same kind of corporate. It's kind of like, hey, whoa, wait. Yeah, okay, I get it. And Phil can put on many faces. He can be a dude who's like a mafia boss, or he can be your best friend in the backyard having wine. I know, he's a wild dude.
And then that night, I still remember the shirt he was wearing. It's like this checkered blue and like a bit of red shirt.
That's the kind of impression he made on you the first night that you were wearing the shirt?
This is what happened. So we do all night we're like dancing, and like, I'm like, this guy's fucking amazing. And then at the end of the, like, whatever, all throughout the show, right? And at the end of the night, I'm walking down the stairs because the show's over, and he's downstairs, and he's like, "You're the girl, like, you were Mrs. Vitale." I'm like, "Yeah." And then we start talking, and we find out that, our families are from the same part of Italy. We both did our masters.
No.
What else? And then he was like, "I do plays. I've done musicals. I'm an actor." And I'm like, "Submit your stuff to Tony and Tina's." And then he did, and like 2 weeks later, he was in the show.
No.
And then that's the love affair began.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
You got him into a Second City show?
2 weeks later. Yeah, and then we used to do the craziest, like, he played this character named Mickey, who was the head waiter, who was like, he wasn't all there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He would, this guy, it was brilliant. He would, so in the Tim Sims, you remember the Tim Sims Playhouse?
I'm all about it, man. Simpsons the Playhouse, yeah.
The wedding would happen in there, the ceremony.
Okay.
Okay, it happened in there, and then it would come down the stairs, and there would be a receiving line at the one first level.
The little platform area there, okay.
And then he'd be there like as a still model with his tuxedo top on top of the display case, so he just looked like a bust.
Wow.
Like, he's like this, and everybody used to go crazy. Like, they were like, "Oh my god!" And then me and him in the show, he would slide. I'm like in the receiving line, and he'd slide behind me in character, right behind me, and be like, "Hey, Mrs. B, what's up?" And then we got in trouble because they're like, Mrs. Vitale and Mickey don't have all this business, right?
Well,
and
they
were like, and then we're like, "Fuck you!" Like,
we're killing it. We're great.
Yeah, like, you think I'm gonna keep doing this show that on, talk about bad working conditions. Second City just was in a lot of trouble.
Buddy, they just got put under fire.
Yeah, but that show, Tony and Tina's in particular, that was.
Without mentioning names, what do you mean by working conditions? Because people think working in entertainment is this fucking cloud ride.
Well, I knew when I was in Tony and Tina's wedding, like, up until that point, I'd been working in the corporate world. Do you know what I mean? Like,
What'd you do?
I worked in branding and marketing, because after I did my master's, then I came to Toronto and did like a marketing certificate, and then I went into marketing and branding, and then eventually they hired me to be a researcher, because that's what I did my master's in. Like, I researched, and then I just ended up getting these jobs until I started to do comedy, where I was just like, I didn't have that much to do. You know what I mean?
What a weird change.
I know.
Why did you tell your parents about this fucking change?
Well, I had it. You know how I told it?
Because 30 years old is no joke to be like, hey, I kind of like other shit in life. I want to be an actor. Not that I want to be an actor.
So listen to what was the catalyst.
What?
This is how I told them. So I just started taking classes at Second City in 1999. Okay. And I was working in marketing and branding, but I wanted to get into theater.
Of course.
Like, I only did theater in university. I never aspired to be an actor, but I did it in university. Like, I did the Italian plays, right?
Yeah.
And it was so great. But when I came to Toronto, I'm like, I just want to do something community. And then I'm working at this branding firm. We go see Second City. I lose my shit. I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing. And then my boss told me that they offer classes to people in the business world to be more agile.
Of course.
So I'm like, I'm signing up. And then I started doing these classes. I'm like, oh my God, this is nice. And I'm like, oh, my life, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. And then before Christmas, this company that I was working for let me go.
Wow.
Right? Just before Christmas too, these fucks, branding fuckers.
Twats.
Yeah.
No, that's not nice against twats. These guys are assholes.
Yeah. It was like right before Christmas. So on the way back, so 2000, I spent 2000, like the year 2000 in Sudbury at this Italian hall, or is it a Portuguese hall? I can't remember. We had an amazing time.
What'd you do there?
I think it was Portuguese. I think it was Italian Portuguese. It was a New Year's Eve party.
Wow.
We were at a hall. We danced, and we were with people we knew.
Of course.
But it was so fun.
Sudbury.
But that night when we were there, it was like it seemed like there was an earthquake. Now, late at night at Sudbury, you've been. Do you ever feel they always do the blasts? So when I was growing up, you would always feel the blasts at like 11:55.
So you can feel I never felt any blasts, but I hear stories from people from Sudbury about how cool it is to grow up there and how close you are and everything. So you can feel something.
Oh yeah, you feel that blast. You knew it was blast. Yeah.
Whatever.
So anyways, I remember that. I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
Why do they do it at night?
Well, because I think it's quiet and people will sleep through it.
Most people won't be annoyed by it. I see what you're saying.
Maybe it's just better to do it yeah.
There's something. There must be something. Maybe they're blasting during the day and nobody even knows. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I was like, should I tell you because what were we talking about? I was about to tell you a story. Made me think of going underground at the mine. Why were we talking about Sudbury? Well, the blast. So this is how I got. So this is how I told my parents about comedy. I know I got to finish this one, but anyways. So I spend New Year's Eve, Christmas, blah, 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 coming back to Toronto to look for a job.
Yeah.
And I go with my friend because my sister is a teacher. She didn't have to go back to school for another week. So she stayed in Sudbury. I went ahead without her. So while we were driving up Highway 69, it was a beautiful day, but it's January 2nd, 2000.
Wild.
And anyways, she ran out of windshield fluid. And so it got to the point where it was like she could barely see. And so right around just before Perry Sound, we were like, we got to stop and get some windshield fluid, right?
Yeah.
And when she was turning in to this gas station, she stopped, she let her car go, but then she went, and there was another car coming really quick, like 120. So and then we started going, and I look under the car, and I'm like, and then we spin, and we end up in a snowbank at the gas station. And then she gets out of the car, like smoke starts coming out of the car, out of the engine. I'm in the passenger, so she gets out of the car, and then I couldn't get out of my door, but I walked over I got over the stick shift, got out, called 911 because I was like, I hit my head. This is intense. That was like, that guy was going 120.
Dude, fucking nuts.
So then I'm on the phone to 911 and I was like, I go, but in an accident. She's like, where are you? And I'm like, what's the place called? Anyways, it's this place. And then she's like, and then the car explodes.
The car that you were in?
Yes, and it was at a gas station, and it was close to the pump, so the people were there. And it was like this. It exploded, shut the roads down.
No way.
Yeah, the car blew up, and I'm standing right there. And the woman, I go, oh my God, the car just blew up. She's like, are you still in the car?
Oh,
I was like,
oh my God, that's so great, dude.
You know what I mean? So this fucking accident, you know what I mean? And then that was like, and I had gifts, and that was the first time, and then I became a comedian. Literally, started like,
that's comedy though.
It's like, one of the first people, like, that's when I really started to get, spiritual, at least, like, because I was getting all this healing in my body and these people were using these things, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then you start thinking about stuff. And so, after that accident was like, it really got me in that path to heal and to like...
To learn more about yourself.
I became a comedian. Like, I was...
You were corporate. I could never imagine you corporate once.
But I really...
Were you
I
though?
wasn't.
I know, you're probably Sandra Batts in a fucking, just a weird situation. Jesus Christ.
You know what? There was this big shakeup at this company that I worked at.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we're announcing some, people are going to be fired. And if you were fired, you go to the boardroom. And if you were staying, you were going to the kitchen. I don't know, something like that, right?
What?
Yeah. So then I go into the fucking office and I go into the boardroom. So I'm getting fired. I'm getting let go, right? And and the woman, her name was Paula Davis Young. These HR types, these really like blonde, very hoary. You know what I mean?
Classic, dude.
Classic, right? Like you're like.
What are you gonna tell me here, lady? Yeah, what do you want to know? Fucking, okay.
And she was just so phony to me, and she's like, yeah, you've been great, whatever. We're cutting back. And then, and it was a really great place to work because it was really creative. It was literally called Fusion Creative.
Cool.
Like, it was such an interesting place to work. And then whatever, everybody's like, getting ready, whatever. And I go on the intercom system, and I was like, look, I just want to like let everybody know how much I loved working here. And then I just started singing I started playing "Goodbye to You, My Trusted Friend."
You're the best.
And then they wanted to shut it down. I was like, I'm singing this in the middle while they were fucking firing people. I sang.
Somebody out there, that's their best story in their life. Somebody was in that office that day, and like what was just a part of your life is one of their best stories. They're like around the fire. They're like, you wouldn't believe this, but I worked for a company years ago, Fusion, and this woman, when she was like, started singing into the intercom.
It's like, we had joy, we had fun, we had season in the sun. And I was like, these people pretended like they created this creative environment. Do you know what I mean? But then in the end, they really just were corporate people. And that's why I was like, you think that, I got nothing. But I always knew, when going back to Second City, like the poor working conditions, those two places, like when I was working at Tony and Tina's, I quit because, I'd been there for 2.5 years, and I was like, there were people that had been doing that show for 4, 5, and 6 years. And I was just like, I can't hear this show one more time. I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
All the time,
I'm like, and then it would bother me that there were people in the show who had heard it so many more times, and that made me crazy. And I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of the show.
Do you ever see any of those people anymore?
Oh yeah, Phil Luzzi,
Phil Luzzi's your boy.
Yeah, I do see some of those people around because a lot of them are actors. I love them. Like, we'll see each other, like, you know what I mean, at various events. But
Phil Luzzi, the closest person in your life to you?
Yeah, besides my family, yeah.
I would argue that some of my friends are closer to me than my family because they're so tough and disconnected.
I know, it's true.
Family might be family, but some of my friends know me so much more better as a person.
Yeah.
Than my sister or my brother. I love them dearly, but they don't know who I am. I could never have a real conversation. Like what we just talked about today, I brought up global warming to my brother, who was a man who and he literally was like, global warming, that's not real, Mikey. Come on, don't believe that stuff. We were talking about it because we were standing on the shore of Wasaga Beach that had lost almost 50 to 60 feet in the last 3 years. Shoreline, gone. And I'm like, where do you think all this extra water is coming from then? Where do you think this massive amount of water is coming from? Because we lost bits of shoreline. If you look historically, it's pretty small. It's like 2-3 feet a year. And in the last 3 years, it's been almost 60 feet. Or at least 45 feet in certain parts. And some people just aren't willing to have it. And I can never imagine. That's my brother, so I have to love him. And do you find are you closer with Phil Luzzi than you would say a brother or a sister? Do you have a brother or sister that you would say?
I have one sister, and it's different close, right? But definitely the levels of conversation Phil and I had, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The level of conversation between you and Phil it can be something as mundane as a flavor in a food to the spirituality of existence of human and the nature of our psychology and blah blah blah. See, that's what I'm saying.
But most of our conversations are literally two children playing.
Of course.
He'll be like,
But why-
he'll call me and be like, Karen Shackelford. And we just play characters.
Of course, but how fun is that? But that's why. But that's what Phil is, man.
Oh,
That's who you guys are too. Okay,
Yeah.
let's wrap this up. We gotta get the fuck.
Oh god, like
I
we
think
could
it's like
literally talk. We could, if this was we could have done. If we had to, we would have kept
we
going.
could go another one more hour easily into like.
and then we're gonna be fucked.
This has been like a 2-hour podcast. This has been through so many layers. Normal. This went political. This went Canadian comedy. This went like union. This went everywhere.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Yeah, we did a good
That
job on
was
this one.
unreal.
Everybody who listened, if you listened to the whole thing, congratulations. If you go on my website and put in this code, ZZTROLY, you get a free middle finger. Alright. That was a lot of fun. You guys are great. Oh man, our guest today was Sandra Battaglini. Check her out on everything. We'll put her name up here on the screen. We'll put her name up on all the descriptions of things so you can check her out. Sandra, is there anything you want to pump or promote?
Oh my god. Yeah, I do a broadcast on Thursday at 7 p.m. called Soft Left.
Yeah, nice.
And it's, we talk the news.
They talk the news and they have they have debates. Make sure to check them out. So just check Sandra Battaglini out. If you're a Toronto person and you ever see your name on a comedy list ever again, I don't know how comedy's ever going to work again, but you know. We'll
I have something else to shout out.
Oh,
The association, the Canadian Association of Standup
of
Comedians,
course.
started an MP letter writing campaign.
Cool.
So if you go to our website, I think it's like, I don't know, I can't say where exactly, but it's CanadianStandup.ca, and you can sign a petition or send a letter to your MP about making comedy an art form. Because the story we talked about, it's 3 years now we've been asking the government for some recognition. And now it's starting to grate on my nerves because it's taking 3 years. How many more years we got to do this?
Another 3 years. 4 more years.
And then when you were asking me about what I was griping about, like originally what I was doing, was that during this pandemic, the government started announcing sector-specific stimulus, and we were told to watch out. When things gonna come up? And then when we started asking questions, like, no, comedians aren't getting money again. Oh, great. Like the
What are we
Department
supposed to do?
Yeah, well, we're getting the CERB, but we're not getting any of the stimulus for the arts and culture sector.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
They didn't even mention, the fucking Minister of Heritage didn't even say comedy. Like, I started to get, I'm like, oh, I'm fucking personally offended now.
Yeah, you're not even, like, we're on you all the time, lady, and you're not even gonna say comedy and music and
Well, today, and then I messaged the Department of Heritage again to say, now we've been told there's this phase 2.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, if we don't fucking make phase 2, there's like...
We'll see. I don't know. I never hold up for none of these fucks. But they're good people. Hopefully they listen to
Well,
us.
I think eventually, but it's just like she said, she's like, well, no, this is just going to be emergency funding. But in terms of comedy, the comedy would be considered like comedy venues, events, and events, and training. And I was like, what do you consider a venue? And then she wrote back, do you have a proposal to tell us what that is? So I'm going to just tell her. She's asking us.
What the proposal for what a comedy venue would count as. So they want you to write the small little bit of legislation that they want to.
No, just to tell them, like, because I was like, what do you consider a comedy venue? Because it seems like for 3 years, what they think of one thing, we don't think of that, and it's all this definition bullshit. So I'm like, if you say comedy venue, like, does that, like, what do you mean? And then she asked me, what do
you mean?
And I'm gonna just say, fucking comedy bar, SoCap, all the clubs, all the fucking,
venues that are
theaters.
dedicated for comedy itself. Yes, yeah.
Venues that are dedicated to comedy theater. Yes, that's exactly it.
How do
and
we-
I'll list as many as I can.
List my home address so we get a little bit of that money.
But that's what I mean. Like that's the thing. It's like you're just like you gotta keep to move these things through. Government and because this is a movement about rights.
Pace. This is fucking snail's
But this
pace.
this is a rights movement.
They're not gonna give it to us.
Well,
They're
I know.
assless.
I think it doesn't even matter if they can, but like I'm bored. Truly, I mean, it's like Canada Council for the Arts. Oh, those are the people I like meeting least. And I don't care if they're watching this shit. I doubt they will be.
What was her name?
The Canada Council for the Arts.
The Canada Council for the Arts. Doesn't that sound boring as shit for something as exciting as the arts?
Yeah, I know. Doesn't that sound like just bureaucratic garbage?
Oh, you're going to be producing art, are you?
Yeah.
So
Is that a
this
art?
will there be paint? No. Okay. Will there be music? No. Will there, an audience? Well, there's one check. Going forward, I could just man. I talked about I don't know how the fuck you do it. I can't have conversations with people like that. I would literally break character so fast. Do you know what I mean? Because clearly you're not going in there as Sandra Batts, the OG that we know. You're going Sandra Batts as a professional representative. And I would break character so fast, Sandra. They'd be talking about some
I
boring ass shit.
swear in those meetings, sometimes when I gotta drop it and be honest, I do it.
You're like, hey, what the fuck are you guys thinking is going to happen going forward? I mean, our comedians are struggling.
Well, economically speaking, Canada is in a predicament where the arts are.
And you're just, this vomit is coming out of their mouth, and you're like, how do you go to sleep?
I go to sleep at 1,000 linen pillow.
Okay, wrap it up. Sandra, thank you for coming on the show. That was a great show, everybody. Okay, so now we're just going to pretend to talk. They're going to start rolling the credits. The credits are rolling. It's cool. The music is coming in through the overtime. Somebody's going to come and tap my face. They're going to give me the notes on the show.